Davos is about to explode onto the trails.
And it is a go, go, go!
Stage 4 and the GC battle in the elite men gets tighter. The top 6 teams are all in with a chance. Topada Kenda FSA 1, Honeycomb 226s, Topada Kenda FSA 2, Climatiza Orbia 2, and the animators of yesterday, Scott Racing. They head out of Davos, Europe's highest city, and they head almost straight up to Hohenweg at 2,322 meters. On the climb, Scott Racing surge, and only yellow jerseys Engert and Lepunt are able to follow. The start of the elite women's race. Stage 4, as the GC shows a dominant KTM Spider Brent Brakes Olympia, with Topada Kenda FSA in second, and Sportograph.com holding on to third by a slim margin from ever-improving Marcy ISP Sport. Onto the first climb, up to Hohenweg, and already Weinbier and Beretti have a gap on the contenders. Sportograph.com drop off the chase group. Advantage Marcy ISP Sport. It all splinters in the women's race. KTM Spider Brent Brakes Olympia lead by over 2 minutes. There's a small gap to the chasers, Topada Kenda FSA 1 and Topada Kenda FSA 2. Honeycomb 226s are off the pace. A beautiful classic alpine descent. There's a regroup on the trails of Panorama, Junkerboden and the A-line. Into the forest section, Climatiza Orbia find themselves in no man's land. Valero and Diaz looking to get in touch with the lead. Onto the Wolfgang climb. Scott Racing have a gap, and it's up to Engert and Lepunt in yellow to respond. Only Topada Kenda FSA 2 can go, a repeat of yesterday's stage 3. In the women's race, KTM Spider Brent Brakes Olympia keep a steady pace. Teamwork coming to the fore. Sportograph lose more time, and their chance at a podium spot on GC looks unlikely. A bad moment for Fadri Barendun in yellow as the two try to control the damage. Casey South of Topada Kenda FSA 1 pushes, knowing that Scott Racing are a real threat to their second spot on GC. The weather smiling on the riders after 2 days of rain. Navigating the famous trails of the Graubünden region. Topada Kenda FSA 2 have dropped from the lead. Scott Racing are charging, not content to pull the Italians to the line. They see an opportunity for a stage win and the overall general classification. Topada Kenda FSA have a mechanical, Barquette's pedal working loose. The issue is resolved calmly and they're ready to get back to work. Marcy ISP Sport continues on their campaign to climb onto the podium on Sunday. The yellow jersey group catches Topada Kenda FSA 2, and Fabian Rabensteiner struggles with the pace on the final climb. Up ahead, Scott Racing are charging. Chasing them, Engert and Lepunt and Topada Kenda FSA 2. Topada Kenda FSA 1 are distanced, losing a minute on the climb to their rivals. And it's Scott Racing winning the stage. The sprint for second, Engert and Lapunt are more interested in keeping the pace and not maneuvering for the sprint. Results, stage 4 belong to Engert and Lapunt completing the podium, with Tapada Kende FSA and Scott Racing's Goria and Fakoli. KTM Spada Brenta Breaks Olympia win 4 from 4, a clean sweep so far. Tapada Kende FSA arrive in second, another solid performance from Sosna Penelli and Marquette. Mazi ISB Sport, Quartercast and Berlin show their stage racing class. Stage 4 results, and Mazi ISB Sport finished the day in third. Tapada Kende FSA in second. Another win for Weinbier and Peretti, looking for a perfect record at this year's race.
Good morning and welcome to the Swiss Epic. Today is the grand finale of the 13th edition of the Alpine mountain bike stage race. And this year's Swiss Epic has taken us deep into the magnificent landscapes of Graubünden, over spectacular mountain passes through picturesque valleys, all linking up some of the most legendary trails, including wild remote paths, flowing single track, world-class bike parks, all for an unforgettable adventure. And the route took us from the Engadin into Davos, where we are today. Mountain bikers from all over the world, top professionals racing the same trails as 450 amateur riders, all enjoying the unmatched and legendary Swiss hospitality. Stage 5, one last push, one last chance for glory, and one last chance to soak it all up. The final stage delivers a fast finale, climbing up to the highest point in the stage at 2,700 meters, 2,007 meters, before linking together some iconic trails. Riding through the fairytale forest of Junkerboden, past the picturesque village of Monstein, and enjoying the beautiful sections of the Alps Epic Trail Davos and the historic Old Zügen Trail and the dramatic Zügen Gorge. It's a backloaded stage with the most challenging part at the end. The top professionals, where there's jerseys at stake. A final push on the big climb of the day, peaking at 2,007 meters. The Ischalp Trail then leads the riders onto Bolgen Trail. And it's one last flowing descent carrying the riders back into Davos. 65 kilometers, 2,350 meters of climbing is the order of the day. The start line, the main elite earlier today. In yellow, Engert and Lapunt, a mere 2 minutes and 35 seconds in hand over Scott Racing. Both Tapada Kende FSA teams almost neck and neck at 4 minutes and 4 seconds and 4:41 respectively. Engert and Lapunt took significant chunk of time on stage 1, and the Scott Racing team and Tapada Kende FSA have been snatching back seconds each day since. The race is still in their favor, but this is the pairing that looked to be challenging that. At 2 minutes, 35 seconds down, it's going to be a tough battle with Scott Racing charging. It's going to be right down to the wire, and it could all come down to the last climb of the day. We're on board with the Bulls Media e-bike, and we'll be tracking the riders, the top professionals in the main elite category. Stefan Sam on the Bulls Media e-bike, able to bring us some of the most spectacular footage from mountain biking. Joelle de Cosmo and his compatriot, Mr. Doragoni, ready for a day out. All in for the Italians, and they are lying third overall. Under starters' orders, ready to head out. Fadri, Barendun, Andrien Bailey, their wildest dreams. They didn't imagine themselves in the yellow jersey going into the grand finale, the final stage. The loop around Davos, the Swiss pairing hailing from the region, the local boys are battling it out with some of the top professionals and the biggest teams in the sport. And they've been relying all week on the local support, and certainly Switzerland is behind this pair. It's been a week of weather, you could say, and today is opening up Davos Platz. It's 10 degrees currently in Davos, and it does feel a little bit warmer with the blue skies and the sun on the riders as they set off. It all begins, and of course this was earlier today. The professionals starting around about half an hour ago or so, as they are led by the motorbike in a neutral zone before they head up onto the trails of the day. 65 kilometers to go for the riders, 2,350 meters. They'll first be tackling the Junkerboden Trail as the Shark's Tooth profile starts to get sharper and sharper as they head towards the 53-kilometer mark, where they'll peak at the highest point in the race. The climb begins arguably around about the 45-kilometer mark. That's when the big challenge of the day is no doubt going to happen. Still some ground to cover before then, as they head over the Junkerboden Trail, and they'll be able to soak it all up, the Davos Monstein historic part of the route. Lowest point in the stage is Davos Wiesen at 1,197, 1,200 meters above sea level. Davos, of course, the highest city in Europe. Altitude is the name of the game, and those riders who have prepared themselves and their bodies and their equipment for this challenge will be successful. More leader jerseys. White marks the leaders of the open category, and it's led by the Invar mountain bike team from Spain. Light blue marks the Masters. Team Stolzana lead Team Bulls in that category. And in green, it's been on the shoulders of Radclub Reuter all week. In the elite women, it all belongs to Weinbeer, and has all belonged to Weinbeer and Peretti all week. In fact, KTM Spider Breaks Olympia, after 11 hours of racing, they have 31 minutes and 59 seconds over Sosno, Pinelli and Marquette. And in third spot, Kortekas and Bolin. Marcy ISP Sport have a slim margin, 2 minutes 30 seconds over Bettini Yanis and Kemamis. Kemamis has been on the podium before at the Swiss Epic. So 2 minutes 30 to make up over Marcy ISP Sport. Didn't have a good day yesterday, Sportograph.com, and they'll be hoping for a better day today. Marcy ISP Sport experienced campaigners Tessa Kortekas, former winner of the race in 2024. The Lithuanian and the Italian lying in second. Tapada Kende FSA. The European champion Anna Weinbeer and Claudia Peretti, the Italian champion, ready for another stage. They've been dominant all week, almost untouchable. 4 stages out of 4, and time will tell if they're looking to make it 5 out of 5. Earlier today, the start lineup of the elite women as they're ready to tackle the 65-kilometer stage, heading up to the highest point in the race at 2,007 meters, just over 2,000 meters. Not the highest point of the race. They have reached over 2,300 meters during the week, but no doubt with on the final day when fatigue is set in, it'll be no mean feat to conquer the final Alp of the day. They head off, tracked by the Bulls Media e-bike. Thomas Ditch bringing us the footage from the rider's point of view. We're able to live vicariously through the riders as they tackle this final stage, a loop around Davos. You're in the neutral zone right now as they are led out of town. But when the motorbike peels off, it will be full gas all the way. And we expect to see more action from the KTM Brenta Brakes Olympia team. Great to see the support from riders, for the riders, and teams from all over the world have arrived at the start in Le Punt, the Engadin. 41 countries represented in this year's race. Coming from countries as far and wide as the USA, second most represented country, the USA, and the third most represented country, South Africa. Quick look at the time check. This is earlier today, just to get an idea of how fierce the racing is. We have the South African-Swiss pairing out in the lead currently. And that first time check, 6.5 kilometers. Honeycomb 226s have 51 seconds over the two Tapada Kende FSA teams. Engadin Le Punt tracking them carefully and watching closely alongside Scott Racing, Climatiza Orbia, and with Buff BH also in close attendance, with 10 teams really in the mix. At the moment, it promises to be a spectacular day. The Honeycomb 226s, they've won a stage already. Mark Pritson and Felix Stierli pairing one stage at the Absa Cape Epic, the pinnacle of the Epic series, earlier this year. Felix Stierli debuting the new wheel format, the 32-inch wheel format, as opposed to the 29-inch wheel format that is almost the default setting for mountain bike stage racing currently. The new format disrupting the industry and certainly disrupting the race. Honeycomb 226s are on a charging day. Tapada Kende FSA, both Tapada Kende FSA teams trail by 52 seconds. That's the time taken at the front of that group. And in that front group, chasing this pairing that we see out in front, we'll do a quick roll call. Both Tapada Kende FSA teams, Engadin Le Punt, Scott Racing, the ever-charging Scott Racing from stages 3 and 4. Also in that group, David Valero, Jose Diaz, Climatiza Orbia, Buff BH. We're expecting big things from Alaman and Stozek today. And the DT Mont Arida team, a short way back at 1 minute 13. So almost in touch are Rydal and Pernsteiner. And a quick look down the list. We see an illustrious list of names, but it all belongs currently to Honeycomb 226s. An early break. Will they be able to make it all the way? 50 kilometers to go for the South African and the Swiss rider, with 50 seconds in hand. And we get an idea of the gap. May not look very far to make up that deficit, but they all know that the Honeycomb 226s, they've fallen down the leaderboard over the past day or so. Honeycomb 226s losing minutes yesterday, pushing them down the leaderboard. So maybe the chasing team aren't feeling the threat of the Swiss-South African pairing too much. Things could develop. We can see Casey South on the front, just keeping things in check. Quick recap on the general classification. with the context of what we're seeing right now, with Honeycomb 226s out front. Mark Pritson and Felix Stili trail Engadin Le Punt by 8 minutes and 8 seconds. So with just under a minute gap at the moment on stage 5, the overall general classification is not under threat currently. It will also be up to the teams of Topata Kenda FSA 1 and 2 to keep that gap in check, as well as Scott Racing, with Casey South keeping things honest at the front. Fabian Rabenstein, their Italian champion and the Swiss champion, leading the Topata Kenda FSA outfit. Topata Kenda FSA have 2 teams in the race. We saw some spectacular action from their so-called second team, De Cosmo and Doragoni, yesterday, and in fact on stage 3 when they won the stage. Quick look at that time check at Monstein, 16 kilometers, the elite men. As we predicted, the action is already happening. 51 seconds the Honeycomb 226s have over the chase group. And here they are, Casey South leading affairs, with Rabensteiner looking super smooth. We saw him in the similar posture yesterday, and then just all of a sudden on the final climb, Rabensteiner just looked like he was in a bit of difficulty. Hard to tell. It's just the inscrutable professional, leaving absolutely no sign of weakness, except when the gap started to develop. Quick look at the graphic currently, get an idea of the chase group, and Pritson and Stili out in front. And here they are, Mark Pritson wearing the National Championships jersey of South Africa, Felix Stili, the current leaders on the day. Time check says 51 seconds. 51 seconds is a slim gap, especially with the firepower that is in the chase group currently. But no doubt, Mark Pritson and Felix Stili highly motivated and well accustomed to solo breakaways. We saw it in the Alps Epic, winning a stage. We also saw this pairing win stage 2, the time trial. No doubt, absolutely on form. They've been preparing for this race, specifically for the Swiss Epic. They've spent time at altitude. They spent time on these trails with Felix Stili, no doubt, showing the South African Mark Pritson all around his backyard here in Switzerland, here in the Graubünden region, showing him how it's all done. Currently, we're with Jose Diaz from the Climatiza Orbia team. He's the champion of Portugal. We've been tracking the race with Stefan Sama, the Bullsmeter e-bike. And just up ahead, you'll see the signs of the yellow jerseys, the yellow sleeves of the team Engadin Le Punt, Fadri Barendun and Andreen Bailey, with 2 minutes and 35 seconds advantage on overall general classification over their nearest team, Scott Racing. They'll need to keep an eye, a very close eye, in fact, on Stefano Goria and David Focoli of the Scott Racing team. But it looks like they're all in touch. They can ride defensively, Engadin Le Punt. There is nothing to stop them, just riding more conservatively, because they know the race is going to absolutely explode later on as they hit the bigger climbs of the day. After the Zügen Gorge, the first service station, and around about the 26-kilometer mark, that's where things could really ramp up. There's a steep kick up towards the Old Zügen Trail, and we've been talking about it all morning from the second service station at 43 kilometers. That's when the action will light up as they head up to the highest point in the stage. At 2,007 meters, just a shade over 2,000 meters. This is what the Alps are all about. It's about altitude, and this pairing have spent time at altitude, and their bodies are well accustomed to it. They've targeted this race, and they've certainly targeted this stage. Grand finale, a highly prestigious stage to win. Name and lights at the finish. They're able to stand on the podium and perhaps even stand on the podium twice, because if they are able to gain more time on today's stage, they will be moving up the leaderboard again. Disappointing day yesterday, moving down and 8 minutes and 8 seconds back but we're watching the struggling Jose Diaz. We'll see where David Valero is as we using the e-bike boost of Stefan Sam's Bulls Media e-bike just to catch up with the chase group that we see in front of us. Engelin Lapointe in front of us right now, looking resplendent in their leader jerseys, the yellow jerseys. Currently with Stefan Sam. Stefan Sam, hopefully Stefan Sam can hear us, and over to you. If you can, Stefan, if you can bring us some insights as to the action that's happening out on the trails right now. Good morning, Stefan.
Yes, good morning, Neil. Good morning to the studio. We just saw Andreen Bailey trying to get ahead of the group because we're in the downhill, just to control it a little bit from the front. Tight single track, so making sure that Scott is not going ahead and riding away, so they get a gap. It's pretty much about controlling for them today and waiting for the, not waiting for the last climb, because that's their strength. But yeah, it's the last stage. You need to be focused all the way. So many things can happen.
Great to get the insights from Stefan Sam out on the trail, and he himself knows very well. Three-time winner of the Alps Epic. He knows exactly that anything can happen on mountain bike stage racing, and often does. It's all about how to manage those difficult situations. And the Bulls team, when they were racing and campaigning for victory at the Alps Epic, they were the masters of that. Looking at the trail surfaces, it looks fairly smooth, fairly manageable. But sometimes the most innocuous part of the trail, innocuous part of the route, can be the point at which you get tripped up. But nothing looks like it's stopping the Swiss-South African pairing. Pritsen and Steli are charging ahead. Apologies for the picture breakup. Action is brought to us by the Bulls Media e-bikes with some advanced equipment that the riders of Thomas Ditch and Stefan Sam are carrying on their backs. With connectivity in Switzerland, excellent connectivity, and also the high-tech equipment being able to bring us the live action pictures from the Bulls Media e-bikes. The graphic tells the story. Pritsen and Steli are on a charging day. They have already passed the Alps Epic Trail checkpoint. They have covered 19.5 kilometers currently already. And a chasing group, it's estimated to be around about 30 seconds, but it's only will be confirmed when the next chasing group passes through that 19.5 kilometer checkpoint. Here we are, the spectacular Alps, where we are currently today. 16 kilometers, there was a 51-second advantage. In just a moment, we'll be able to see. We're going to be getting regular updates from the time checks. 19.5 kilometers is where Honeycomb 226s have passed through as we cross over to the elite women currently. And as predicted, we have team of KTM Spada Brenta Brakes. Anna Weinbeer and Claudia Peretti have already gained a gap on their rivals. Katarzyna Sosna-Panelli, Georgia Marquette, content to ride their own pace today. KTM Spada and Anna Weinbeer and Claudia Peretti in a class of their own all week, not just today, but throughout the 2026 Swiss Epic. Significantly, we're looking at the chasing group. Korte Carson Bolin, Sosna-Panelli Marquette, and Jana and Amos, all in touch. All to play for the last two spots on the podium on overall general classification. We cited there to be a battle between Korte Carson and Bolin and Janis and Amos. Team Sportograph.com better struggled struggled a little bit after the crash of Bettini Janis over stages 2, 3, and 4. They look to be coming good. The experienced Bettini Janis coming to the fore today. Time check says it all. The chase group are lying at 1 minute 40 back. Weinby and Peretti charging ahead after only 43 minutes of racing. They already have 1 minute and 40 over Kortekas, Bolin, Janis and Amis, and Sosna, Pinelli and Marquette. Here they come, the chasing group. $65-kilometer day, and they are at the point where there is 48 kilometers to go for the elite women. Bettini Janis takes a drink, making sure to be fueling for the day ahead. An experienced rider will know that that final climb at the end could decide everything. Bettini Janis, a former winner of the race, and Kim Amis on the podium last year, and they will certainly have a taste for glory, as has Tessa Kortekas, who has also won the race in 2024, riding with Monica Calderon. New partner, Amanda Bolin, is certainly a worthy partner of the former winner of the race. Riders enjoying just a bit of a respite on the smoother roads of the day. They've seen it all. That's what marks the Swiss Epic, is the variety of trails. We've seen wild, remote, rocky single-track paths on alpine passes. We've seen the groomed single track, and we've seen the bermed bike park tracks that have led the riders down some of the most unforgettable trails in the world. Graubünden, of course, the home of trails, and cyclists from all over the world come to visit and enjoy the spoils of the Swiss Alps. The elite men, Pritzen and Stelli, are forging ahead, and all eyes on Baron Dun and Beerley, the yellow jersey wearers. We saw them take a huge chunk of time on day one, and they've been maintaining a lead throughout, with protagonists just taking chunks of seconds each day, but they still hold on to a 2 minute and 35 lead on overall general classification. So currently with the Bulls Media e-bike, the chasing group at 55 seconds down. We're about to get you a roll call at the 19.5 kilometer mark. That's the Alps Epic Trail section, the descent into the Zügen Gorge. Honeycomb 226s have 55 seconds over Topata Kenda FSA 1 and 2. Engadin Le Punt are in that group, as are Scott Racing. Scott Racing perhaps biding their time. They are certainly the on-form team during the week. And Climatiza Orbiers, David Valero and Jose Diaz also in the mix. Buff BH just a short way off, 20 seconds off the pace of that chase group. They'll be looking to get in touch. But with Jose Diaz visibly struggling with the pace set by the chase group, Climatiza Orbiers' days might be numbered as the race for the stage, but also for the GC really starts to heat up. On the left, we're witnessing white-hot pace set by the elite men. And we're with the Climatiza Orbia team of Jose Diaz and David Valero. They're lying in 6th place overall at the time check, with Valero coming into the race as one of the race favorites, riding with Jose Diaz, a well-known campaigner. We've seen him at the Alps Epic performing at the very highest level. David Valero, European champion. Jose Diaz, the Portuguese champion. Valero, a pedigreed rider at the highest possible level. Olympic medalist and World Cup winner in the cross-country discipline, now very much at home in the marathon discipline. Spaniard riding for the Climatiza Orbea outfit. Pritzen and Steli heading into the Zügen Gorge, the most spectacular downhill. The Alps Epic Trail heads into the Zügen Gorge. This is the lowest point in the stage when they reach Davos Wiesen at just a shade 3 meters under the 1200 meter mark. Now we are seeing the graphic along the top, the chasing group, including Pritzen's Chile out in the front. Chasing group includes the team of the yellow jerseys, Engadin Le Punt, that's Baron Dun and Bieli. It all stretches out on these trails, and no panic for the riders, as they might want to leave a little bit of a gap just to be able to ride their own pace and also be able to see what's lying in front of them. You can see the roughness of the trail. They'll be taking these sections conservative, preserving their bikes, preserving their bodies, and most importantly, preserving their tires on the way down this spectacular trail. Can be ridden by anyone who decides that they would like to take on the challenge of the Swiss Alps. Throughout the year, in fact, these trails are open to the public. Much coveted region of mountain biking is the Graubünden region. These trails are no exception. Jose Diaz looking to close that gap with his partner David Valera out front. We saw the sign warning riders that this is a technical trail. Arrows pointing downwards means take care, pay attention, ride just a little bit more conservatively, because you have been warned. This is a challenging section of trail. Challenging climbs, certainly. Lung-busting climbs we've seen all week, up to some vertiginous heights of over 2,300 meters. But that's what characterizes the Swiss Epic, are the tough climbs, the long climbs, and the long descents, equally as challenging. Mark Pritzen leads Felix Steli on the trails today. Mark Pritzen, the South African champion in the marathon discipline. And they are certainly in charge of the day's proceedings. Honeycomb 226s have 55 seconds over their rivals, over their chase group. Topada Kende FSA quick look at the roll call. Yes, Topada Kende FSA, both of those teams are in the mix with Engadin Le Punt. Most importantly, we're all watching those yellow jerseys. The local boys, we're calling them Fadri Barendon and Andrien Bieli, and Scott Racing 2. Goria and Focoli, they promised action for the day. They've shown us action throughout the week. The Italians lying in wait, ready to pounce as Engadin Le Punt ride defensively through today's stage. Honeycomb 226s are 8 minutes and 8 seconds on overall general classification behind the yellow jerseys. Their priority today, however, is to win the stage, the prestigious grand finale. Looking up the graphic right now, these are live times brought to you by the trackers. So we'll be keeping an eye on the time check. That'll be our final confirmation of that. But it looks like Pritzen and Steli are charging ahead. They've already gained 20 seconds on that descent. We'll wait for confirmation. But on the chasing group 2, containing both Topada Kende FSA teams, Engadin Le Punt, the yellow jerseys, and Scott Racing. 4 teams chasing, a little way off that quartet of teams chasing Felix Steli and Mark Pritzen are Climatiza Orbea. And the riders reach a quick portage section, compulsory portage, just for the riders' safety, just to navigate their way down. Very short, a couple of meters where they'll need to get off their bikes and take no risks as they head down to the next section of trail. Zügen Gorge is where we are awaited. Riders will be reaching the first service station at the 26-kilometer mark, and that's exactly where Dario Linder, our commentator out on the field, Dario Linder will be able to bring us the atmosphere of the Swiss Epic and, of course, of the Swiss Alps as we are in the grand finale. Dario, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Neil. We are here in Wiesen, halfway through today's stage. They're on the way back now, when they're here to Davos. They're coming up, first, they're over there, somewhere in the forest, coming down through the forest to this beautiful Epic Trail, to the beautiful railway station, up on the road to beautiful Wiesen, and then over here, over this meadow field, back to Davos. Already a few spectators here, huh? You can see that. Pretty nice, cheering for all the boys coming first and all for all the women's later on. Yeah, it's a beautiful place here. Yeah, as always, Swiss Epic delivers all the time, not only in racing, only as well as in the countryside. So beautiful here. Hey, we're looking forward for the first man coming up soon. It's Felix Stehlig and his partner Pritzen, really strong today, and probably no time for them to enjoy the countryside.
The beautiful, pristine nature of the Swiss Alps in the Graubünden region as we cross back to the race. The section of trails that we've all been waiting to see. Beautiful sunshine today, fantastic weather. We've seen some inclement weather throughout the week as we are currently tracking the chase group. And at the back of the chase group, Jose Diaz, the champion of Portugal in the marathon discipline. He's right behind David Valera, the European champion. 37-year-old Spaniard has had an illustrious career in mountain biking. Had a bit of a disappointing day one, you could say, is an understatement. He had a puncture, unable to make quick and easy repair, having to change the wheel on stage one, losing over 17 minutes, putting them out of contention on overall GC. They've been there and thereabouts throughout the week. And if they can stay in touch with the chase group, let the tactics play out, let the overall GC racers battle it out and perhaps take advantage of that situation and be able to climb on the podium for the stage at least. And privileged to be witnessing some of the top riders in the sport. Olympic medalist David Valero. And we're also lucky to be joined in the studio today by Candice Venter, who is in charge of the Pro Rider program, and she'll be giving us some insights into the top professionals and a quick look at the 27-kilometer mark. It's Mark Pritzen, Felix Stehlig. They are gaining time hand over fist. That chase group is 1 minute and 38 seconds back from Pritzen and Stehlig, the hard-charging Honeycomb 226s. As in the background, we see the future generation. Perhaps we'll see exactly these riders lining up at the start. Let's guess. In 15, 20 years or so, we should be seeing them lining up at the start in their leader jerseys.
Good morning, Neil. Nice to join you.
Good morning, Candice.
I'm happy to be able to sit down for a while and actually just watch some of the racing.
Well, you've been managing the pro riders throughout the week, and no better person to get some insights as to the mood and how things have been playing out with the pro riders. We're watching right now Mark Pritzen, Felix Stehlig. Mark Pritzen certainly looking strong this week.
Absolutely. They've been in Switzerland, in the area for quite a while. They came up early. They were obviously traveling from South Africa to prep for this, as well as then going ahead for Marathon World in a couple of weeks. So I think a lot of the teams have been putting in big blocks of training just in preparations to do the final preparations to get everything nailed before World Champs.
Now there's Felix Stili on the back, and it's a unique Swiss-South African pairing. They look like they've got a good bond together.
They've been racing together for a couple of years. They're past winners of the FNB Wines to Wales as well. They've raced the Alps Epic together, so very comfortable with each other. They know each other really well. They're also on the new bikes for this race. So yeah, I think it's been a super week for them. I think for all the pros in general, like we've had a couple of changes obviously with some of the stages and the routes. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, they're having a super week.
And it seems like the Felix Stili became a little bit less Swiss and a bit more South African earlier on in March. And it seems to be the reverse is happening, that Mark Pritson is becoming more Swiss. And looking at the bikes that he's riding a Swiss bike, a Stoll bike.
For sure. I think as South Africans, we tend to do that to any riders that come and grace our shores for a couple of months. I think we've claimed many international riders over the years. But yes, to have Felix more as a resident racing a lot of the South African races as well, it's really cool to have that influence.
And Felix Stili and Mark Pritson won a stage at the Alps Epic in spectacular fashion. Well, Felix Stili was riding the new 32-inch wheel format, giving it proof of concept for sure. And they're both now on those new bikes with 32-inch wheels. Stili following Mark Pritson. Mark Pritson, the powerful South African, and of course the South African champion Stili, absolutely matching him pedal stroke for pedal stroke. Great pairing, the two of them, with 38 kilometers to go.
I think if we think back to the stage win at the Alps Epic, it was stage 3 or 4 if I'm not mistaken. Also treacherous conditions. We had the rain going into Greyton. So they're very well suited for racing in terrible conditions. The 32-inch wheels seem to be quite impactful. I was chatting to Mark about it early in the race, saying that it takes a bit of getting used to, but he's absolutely comfortable on the bike now. Seems like they'll be sticking to it for the foreseeable future.
And we're looking at the graphic at the bottom. Mark Pritson, Felix Stili in the lead, very much in control of the stage. But the fight for second place, the chasing group are 1 minute and 35 seconds off the pace. Looking at the overall general classification, that's where it's all to play for, really, with Stili and Pritson 8 minutes and 8 seconds back. So not a complete threat to the yellow jerseys. And no doubt the team Engelin Le Punt in yellow will be getting some time checks from family and friends out on the route. They said yesterday they received, I think it was 7 time checks from people along the route. So clearly local support goes a long way. Because that's what makes all the difference, is just knowing their progress, knowing where they are in the stage. Of course, in some of the most remote regions in the Alps, in the Graubünden region, very difficult to tell where you are on the stage. If you're leading, obviously you know you're in the front, or if you're behind, but those time gaps are all important, just to know how to measure the efforts.
Absolutely.
And we've seen some of the top pro teams arriving. We've seen the Topada Kenda FSA team, Klimatiza Orbia team. These are top professional outfits, including Buff BH. And that's where the professionals from these big outfits will be getting their information. But great to see that Engelin Le Punt are getting some local support.
Absolutely. Very different to road racing, where everything is pretty much handed to you via the motorbike for the whole of your stage. If you're up the road, and unfortunately if you don't have anyone up on the course, very difficult to gauge where you are, kind of what your gaps are, even for the teams behind. How it works for the pros, obviously, in the Epic series, some of the races are slightly different, but we do a neutral service for them in terms of their nutrition on the bike and their equipment and spares. So what will happen is that they will hand in their bottles, their race bottles, with their gels and the bars, whatever that they're going to need for during the stage, as well as with all of their wheels and spares that they want. We transport that to the service stations. So generally we've got 3 service stations en route. So take A, B, C, and then here we go. Super, lots of support en route. And then you'll see as they get to the service stations, if they need to stop to change a wheel, like Valero did on the first stage, then they've got all of their things there with them and they can change a wheel and they get going again. So this is how you provide neutral service, especially because not all teams are able to travel with such a big contingent. But if you're local, for sure, you've got a lot of your family and friends able to help out en route to kind of just give you those gaps, just give you the encouragement, just keep you going.
And we did see comments from the Engert and LePunt team just saying how overwhelmed they were to be wearing the yellow jerseys, and no doubt they prepare, they train here, they race all of the local races, and most importantly, knowing the trails like the back of their hand. They don't have a full campaign like some of the other pros do, so they are able to target this race as the highlight of their season. So they shouldn't be surprised, because that kind of level of preparation and diligence does go a long way. We can see in front of us the animators of the last few days, Scott Racing. What a great week they've had so far, the young Italians.
Absolutely, and also coming off of a super Andorra Epic in July. Overall winners there as well, so we're definitely coming up in the rankings in terms of the last couple of events, but super to have some young blood coming through, some wily Italians kind of giving it to them, kind of not taking no for an answer, trying every stage. I mean, it's amazing to watch.
It animates the racing. Absolutely. And keeps it all exciting for all of us, and it's down to the wire on the grand finale, the 5th stage of the Swiss Epic, where we are right now. 37 kilometers to go. Mark Pritson, Felix Stierli, we heard earlier some good local support, and we had the Swiss Alps echoing the support back to us. Real Swiss experience for the pairing right now. 1 minute 35 was the last time check we had in that chase group. The top contending teams on overall general classification, and also not only on GC, but also potential stage winners. Clementisa Orbia, David Valero, and Jose Diaz. They are in that chase group. 5 teams chasing. And in that group, Topada Kenda FSA 1, Ravensteiner and Casey South. Topada Kenda FSA 2, De Cosmo and Doragoni. Engert and LePunt, the yellow jersey wearers. It's the local team on the international stage wearing their yellow jerseys. Scott Racing 2, we expect big things from Goria and Focoli. They promised us a real race, and it should culminate on that final climb. Clementisa Orbia's Valero and Jose Diaz are lying in wait, ready to mount their challenge on today's stage.
Look.
With about to reach that section of trail, and we have Dario Linde on the ground. Over to you, Dario.
Yes, I'm running with the boys at the moment. So with the yellow jersey wearers, it's Andrin Bailey and Fadri Barandun. Yeah, they're still in good shape, all looking good. Everybody's together chasing the top guys, Mark Pritson and Felix Stierli. Yes, halfway is done. We have a big crowd down here. Felix's father is somewhere around. He was there cheering for his son. So that's a real nice side story from here, from Riesen. Yeah, it's so nice here. Everybody's cheering for all the boys. And now we're waiting for the first women to pass through here. Back to you, Neil. You can imagine how nice it is here.
Well, we can see the pictures, and we can hear you, and we can hear the excitement out there on the trail. But nothing quite like being out there. And in fact, that's the beauty of the race, is that it's a pro-am race. Anyone can enter. We've talked about the pros for most of the morning, but the race is also open to amateurs. It's a true pro-am experience, and the riders from all over the world come from 41 countries this year, in fact, and enjoy the trails and test themselves on the very trails that the top professionals. We see the Belgian champion and the Czech champion, Aleman and Stozek. We expected big things from this team. They're a major outfit in mountain bike stage racing. We've seen them at the Alps Epic and at the Andorra Epic, the Four Islands Epic. And they've got a long season. Didn't quite prepare like the others at altitude. And they are did actually, from their own mouths, did say that it does make a difference being able to specifically prepare at altitude.
I think in general, that's what we're seeing is the kind of lengthening of the seasons. If it's marathon racing, if it's cross country, the races are starting earlier and earlier in the season and kind of going later and later as well. So you can appreciate that the athletes need to time their performance. They're working with their coaches. They're trying to peak at the right times, and it's not always possible to kind of have a good performance at every event that you do. Obviously, that's the goal. But we can see for sure this week there's a lot of firepower backed in that chase group. And for sure, riders that are still trying to hone their form going into World Champs, I'm sure.
Of course, all of these top athletes are, in general, on a super high level. But it's all about that X factor that makes the difference between being off the podium and on the podium, and another X factor that just puts you at the very top of the podium. So just that little bit of extra preparation, that specific preparation that makes the difference between first and fifth, you could say. You're tracking the pairing of Pritson and Steli. They've been here for a while now, preparing at altitude on these very trails, riding these trails open to the public, testing themselves and their equipment, knowing as much as possible about the route. 1:35, the chasing group are keeping a steady pace, knowing that they have 8 minutes and 8 seconds in hand. But the urgency will soon fall on the likes of Tapata Kende FSA team and, of course, Scott Racing, who are second, third, and fourth on the podium. At what point do the chasing group start paying close attention, especially those on second, third, and fourth on overall? When do they start paying attention to this lead that's been generated by Mark Pritson and Felix Steli?
You know, it's super difficult because they don't know what the gaps are. They're kind of getting people shouting at them, but it's difficult for them to kind of maybe do the maths as well while they've got the adrenaline pumping. So, I mean, at this stage, the group should be working together to try and bring back as much as they can. But I don't think in terms of where Honeycomb 226s are in the GC is too much of a threat for the top five. But I mean, anything can change. We just need someone to have a mechanical and it changes that, it upsets the group as well. So, I mean, yeah, it's difficult to say.
Exactly. It's all unpredictable at the moment. They have an 8 minute and 8 second deficit, the Honeycomb 226s, but that is, of course, on the leader jerseys. Leader jerseys have 2:35 on their nearest rivals. So 11 minutes or so, that's really, it has to, at some point, the teams lying on third overall will need to start paying attention, but not at this point. Maybe they will get some time checks out on the trail at the time checks, but maybe a little bit too few and far between. But we will get an idea of what the live GC, we've been referring to this term, the live GC, that would be if the race were to finish right now. And the Honeycomb 226s, currently as it stands, are 6 minutes and 20 off the pace of Engadin Lepunt, but notably off third. That would be the Tapata Kende FSA team. It's just around about 2 minutes and 18 seconds. So that's how close it could get to the Tapata Kende FSA team, where they are right now. De Cosmo and Doragoni's third spot on overall podium on general classification is officially under threat.
Well, currently as it stands, everyone remains kind of as we started the day in terms of GC, so no major upset yet. I think if Mark and Felix were able to increase the gap, then for sure, then people are going to start to worry. But I think for now, at least, the top five on GC are generally probably okay with the situation, what's going on. In terms of just impacting the GC, but for sure, everyone would like to bring them back so that we've got another stage run up for grabs.
Everyone wants the security and the comfort knowing that everyone is together, and that's what it's all about, riding in a group, is knowing where they are. But there is still a 2 minute buffer that Tapata Kende FSA 2 team have over the Honeycomb 226s. So keeping that in check. We saw KC South keeping the pace high, keeping the pace honest really early on in the stage, and time will tell to see if the team of Tapata Kende FSA team will be able to keep that gap under control.
So here we've got our Pump for Peace riders. It's Damon and Unati, I think, as far as I can tell. It's super to have them racing on a European level. I'm really, really happy that they're here, obviously doing their preparations for the end of the season, but also then leading up to next year. I mean, I think everyone's got eye on the prize in terms of racing for Alps Epic next year in March.
And we saw the Pump for Peace riders go past, managed by none other than Ariane Luthi, who's in fact won 2 Swiss Epics, and she'll be joining us shortly in the booth, being able to give us insights from a racer's point of view, but also from a rider's point of view, and just giving us a bit of an update on how the Pump for Peace riders are doing.
Absolutely.
Quick recap of where we are in the race. The Honeycomb 226's Mark Pritz and Felix Stiele have a 1 minute and 38-second advantage over the chase group. In that chase group, Tapada Kenda FSA 1 and 2, Ingerden LePunt, the yellow jersey wearers, Scott Racing 2, the animators, and what we expect to see big things from Scott Racing 2, and just in the shadows, Climatiza Orbia 2. We're currently with the Bulls Meter e-bike on board with Thomas Ditch. And we'll be crossing to Thomas in a minute if he can hear us and if we have a connection. Thomas, over to you. Tell us how it's going at the front of the race.
It's going hard at the front of the race. And Felix, Mark, and are really pushing hard. And they push as hard as they can. Yeah, Mark is a little bit stronger. Felix is suffering a bit behind, but yeah, he's going. And yeah, it's nice to see. The track is really nice today. It's still a bit wet from 2 days ago, but the roads are dry, and it's really nice to ride this type of track because you have a good grip. Perfect.
And we're at the 33-kilometer to go mark, and thanks to Thomas for bringing insights out on the trail at the very front of affairs, riding with the Honeycomb 226's Mark Pritz and Felix Stiele, gaining over a minute and a half over the chase group. Raymond Steiner South, De Cosmo Doragoni, Baron Dunan Bieli, Correa Fakoli, and keeping an eye on David Belair and Jose Diaz, Climatiza Orbia.
I think also worth mentioning that Fadri and Andrin in the yellow jerseys, they're not teammates for the season, so they race separately. So there are two individuals that have come together to race in this team format for the Epic Series stage racing. So that's also something, I mean, they've been friends for I think as long as they've been riding bikes, but are kind of on different bikes, different sponsorship structures, but coming together to race together, and I mean, it's amazing. I think the story is just a fairy tale for them. They've done the event several times. They were, I think, 2 years ago coming into Le Punt in a bit of a tussle for the stage 1 victory. Narrowly lost that, coming into the final corner into the finish. But I think getting just rewards this year, managing to get yellow on the first day and then hold it up until we're still racing on stage 5.
Yeah, fantastic performance from them and a great story. And all great stories of the many thousands of stories at the Swiss Epic and any of the Epic Series races. It's great that we can have Candice Venter in the booth just to deliver some insights as to what's the pro riders in the Swiss Epic and in the Epic Series as well. Thanks very much for joining us, Candice. It was great to hear.
We're going to go do some final prep for the final stage, but enjoy. I hope we see a bit more fireworks. See you later.
The future of mountain biking in Switzerland is right here at the Swiss Epic, the kids race. We're going to be seeing some talents developing here. The appetite for riding. We're not quite taking the youngsters through the alpine trails just yet, but that thrill of competition is being fostered. The Swiss mountain biking program is a special one indeed, and has produced many enormous talents, including the greatest of all time, Nino Schurter, most accomplished mountain biker in this generation and in possibly of all time, as we've said. Another Swiss mountain biker we have in the booth right now, and that is Ariane Luthi. Ariane, you've won 2 Swiss epics. You've won 3 Alps Epics. And today you're going to be bringing us some insights on the trail. But you've since retired from the sport, and you are now managing the team Pump for Peace. We saw them earlier in their pink jerseys rolling through and having a great day out. How are the guys doing at the moment, the Pump for Peace team?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you. Yeah, Unati and Damon had a really good race yesterday. They were close to the top 10. Really gunning it. Our second team, Tumelo and Tabiso. Tabiso had some crashes along the way, but nothing too bad. Just some scratches, but obviously lost a little bit of time like that. But yeah, they're all well up. It's great to have a team of 4 here. All of them really grateful to be here. For 3 of them, it's the first Swiss Epic. Tumelo actually has won the mixed category alongside Shri Redeke from South Africa. So he's done the Swiss Epic twice already. And yeah, very much loves it to be here back in Davos. Beautiful trails here that we can see. Going fast down these descents. Still a bit slippery, I guess.
We've had better weather over the last day or so, which of course the riders will be welcoming, especially on these challenging trails. Have you ridden this section of trail before?
Oh. I've got something like trail dementia. Once I've ridden it, I forget it. No, I'm really bad in remembering stuff that I've ridden through. Possibly, I've finished here a few times, so it could very well be, but don't ask me where there's the big rocks or the big roots.
Well, we're seeing some of the more remote and you could say raw trails. That's really what characterizes the Swiss Epic, is the variety.
Yeah, it's really both the mix of having some purposely built mountain bike trails, the flow trails that they've got here, but then also some that are actually more hiking trails. I actually really love them because it's somehow a little bit more challenging and one really needs to be focused on what's coming. Sure, when you have tired arms and legs, the flow trails are really fun as well. They're smooth mostly, and one can really take speed throughout the corners. But it's quite the Swiss speciality to have these very tricky hiking trails, and yeah, I really love that.
The Swiss riders seem to really thrive in less predictable conditions. We've seen it even in the cross-country discipline when the weather plays a role and the conditions, the surfaces change. We saw in the Olympics in Tokyo when there was a monsoon where it did change the nature of the trail, even though it was well known by the riders, well practiced. Just the surfaces and the rain made a big difference. And no surprises, we saw 3 Swiss riders on the podium at the Olympics at the highest, the very, very highest level of the sport. So it would mean that the Swiss are, the program really prepares the riders for the unexpected.
Yeah, I think it's really much a mentality thing as well. If one trains a lot in the rain, which Swiss riders definitely do at times, because otherwise you don't get to ride, then you also get mentally used to it. But I think we can switch over to Dario, who's got something for us in store.
Yes, still here in Wiesen, waiting for the first team of German, and it looks like they're not giving any presents out today. So we had a chat at the start line, and then Anna told me, no presents today, no presents today. So they're still in the lead, still in full mode, and we're still waiting here for them. Still nice atmosphere here, have a beautiful place out here, and yeah, they should come in 1 or 2 minutes. So, if you have a look around here, this is a problem we have at the moment in Switzerland. The meadows, the grass is really low. It was really dry, and normally the grass should be that high at the part of this year at that time. Now it's only that low, it's really dry. It needs some time to cut these meadows for the food, for the winter time for the farmers. The cows at the moment, they're high above. On the Alps, we call it. They're coming down within the next few weeks. And this grass has to grow now. So we were really, really happy about the rainfall the last few days. But today, it's sunshine. Yeah, and it's Swiss Epic.
Having a look at the elite women's race, Weinbeer and Peretti lead the stage as they head into the 25-kilometer mark. Davos Wiesen, Sosna Pinelli, Georgia Marquette, Tessa Kortekas, Amanda Boland, and Bettini Janis and Kim Amos are riding close in a group together. Catch a glimpse of how things are looking at that time check. Looking at the service station, Davos Wiesen at the 27.5-kilometer mark. All eyes on the battle between Marcy ISB Sport and Sportograph.com. Currently, they are all together. They're riding neck and neck. This time check, we can see that there is still all to play for that third spot on overall GC. Tapata Kenda FSA women are just a few meters ahead, a few seconds, 20 seconds ahead. But the day belongs again to KTM Spider Brent Breaks Olympia, Anna Weinbeer, Claudia Peretti. And they lead the day by 1 minute and 37 over Tapata Kenda FSA women. Here they are in their orange leader jerseys. Anna Weinbeer and Claudia Peretti.
Yeah, Anna is just checking in with Claudia, how she's doing. Anna, who's really been a force since she's entered the sport, leading the way for Claudia Peretti. Really dominating this race here over all the stages so far.
Anna Weinbeer, the European champion and the Swiss champion. So looking good for the Swiss national. Anna Weinbeer, you know her personally, you know her trajectory in her career.
Yeah, she's only just entered the elite sport of it a little bit more than a year ago at the Schwarzwald Marathon last year, and actually clocked a 15-minute faster time in the amateur category than the elite women at the same race. And that was then finally her signal that actually she's got it all to race against the elite woman, and finally entered the elite category, got herself a license, and took on the strongest women in the sport, and yeah, immediately got the silver medal at the World Championships.
We're excited to see how Anna Weinbeer heads through or enjoys the next part of her career, the next chapter of her career. And we're also going to be joining Daria Linde down on the ground once again. Daria, over to you.
Thank you, Neil. Yeah, it will take just a few seconds. Yeah, we already can see Anna Weinbeer looking back to her partner. She lost a bit of ground, but it's only about a few meters, not that much. Some more guys are coming. Come on, boys, go for it. Yes, yes. Still, fantastic atmosphere in here. Some more fans are coming up. Anna is pushing really, really hard. Always looking back a bit, and this is a perfect place. Come on, Anna, go, 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 go. Yes, yes. Come on, Claudia, die. It looks like Claudia is suffering just a little bit at the moment. Anna, unbelievable strong today.
Yeah, clearly Anna Weinbeer is on fantastic form as she heads off after this race and makes her final preparations for World Championships, and definitely a rider to consider for World Championships. Fantastic addition. Claudia Peretti has been able to match her pedal stroke for pedal stroke, and no mean feat for the Italian champion, and being able to navigate the team dynamics that are going on between the two of them. The Swiss-Italian pairing lead on the day at the 27.5-kilometer mark by 1 minute and 37 seconds. Sosna Pinelli and Marquette. Short distance back, Tessa Kortekas and Amanda Boland are riding together with their rivals. They'll be challenging for third spot on overall. Bettini Janis, Kim Amos, Sportograph.com. Both teams are at 1 minute and 57 seconds. Some way back, Prilla and Rueg. So no threat from the German and Swiss pairing. And Paul and Dietering a further 11 minutes and 10 seconds back.
Yeah, it's still 2.5 minutes between third and fourth place in GC going into the stage. So if Bettina Janas and Kim Ames want to claim back the podium spot, they would need to attack quite soon to make up those 2.5 minutes.
We've got that final climb up to 2,700 meters. And maybe that's where it will happen on the profile. If you look at the profile from Lengmatter,
Clavadeleralp. Clavadeleralp.
That's the peak of the day. Tongue twister, certainly, and that's why I haven't even attempted it at 2,007 meters. Third water point is at the top, the service station, as we watch the team of Topata Kenda FSA women head off on their campaign. 30 seconds over, or 20 seconds gap over Tessa Kortekas, Amanda Bolin, and Bettina Janas and Kim Ames. And here they are right now, the team Marcy ISP Sport and Sportograph matching each other pedal stroke for pedal stroke. This is the race to watch in the elite women's category. It's safe to say that KTM Spider Brent Breaks Olympia own this year's Swiss Epic, and a wine beer Claudia Peretti on another storming day with already 1 minute 37 lead. But the race for the final spot on overall GC, Marcy ISP Sport and Sportograph.com are locked in.
Yeah, and it's Bettina Janas. He's now just checking with Kim Ames how she's doing there. Kim Ames, who was setting the pace on the climb, but it's now Kortekas and Berlin who go to the front.
And that's where we are in the men's race. Pritzen and Steli still lead with the chasing group behind Pritzen and Steli. Let's see exactly where they are. They're heading up the Old Zügen Trail. We're going to keep an eye on those time checks. Those time checks are brought to us by the trackers, but we'll need to look to see where we are and at what point. 36 kilometers into the race. Honeycomb 226's lead to Topata Kenda FSA 1. That's Fabian Rabensteiner and Casey South. It looks like from the time check that that team of Rabensteiner and Casey South have flown the coop of the chase group. Kadri Barendun and Andri Bieli, Stefano Correa and David Fakoli, and of course Topata Kenda FSA 2, De Cosmo and Dorigoni riding with Climatiza Orbia. That group is chasing, so 20 seconds, just over 20 seconds, 23 seconds to be exact. Topata Kenda FSA lead that big chasing group with the yellow jerseys inside. We're currently with the leaders, Mark Pritzen and Felix Steli, but another race is unfolding in that chase group. Egerton LePunt still look in control, but they're going to need to watch carefully that gap to Topata Kenda FSA. Casey South and Fabian Rabensteiner, known mountain bike stage races, and they will know exactly how to play things on the final day. It could come down to the wire for the Egerton LePunt team as they defend their leaders' jerseys. 2 minutes and 35 seconds they have over Scott Racing, who they are currently with right now. They can in fact they can reach out and touch them. Correa and Fakoli are riding in that same group as Egerton LePunt. But Rabensteiner and Casey South have broken away from that chase group, are in now hot pursuit of Pritzen and Steli.
And the tight battle is actually going on between teammates. The two Topata Kenda teams are fairly tight on GC, actually under a minute. And it's now turned around again. It's Casey South and Fabian Rabensteiner ahead of their teammates, Joella De Cosmo and Jacob Dorigoni.
Now, the objective of a team outfit like Topata Kenda FSA, they have two teams in the race. The all-Italian team of De Cosmo and Dorigoni, who are better placed on overall GC. And tactics at play, because Rabensteiner and Casey South, they might have their individual ambitions in their mind, but of course team orders play a big role. If you're looking to Topata Kenda FSA for a spot on the podium. Team manager might not be too concerned as to which team it is, but let's see how it all plays out. Casey South has been on fantastic form. Rabensteiner had a bad moment at a critical time in the race, losing over a minute, but no doubt they'll be looking to fight another day today, and is evidenced by the time check we've just reached, where the team of Ravensteiner and Casey South have broken away from that chase group. Gap isn't hugely significant at the moment. It's still 23 seconds that Topado Kende FSA 1 have over that chase group of England Le Punt, Scott Racing 2, Topado Kende FSA 2, and Klimatiza Orbia.
Yeah, now it really is the deciding time of the race for the yellow jerseys here. On the climb here, going up to, this is the Old Zügen. Where are they now?
They've been through the Old Zügen Trail right now, and they're heading up out of the Zügen Gorge again, up to Lengmata.
Yeah, it's not too much descending before they go really up to the roof of today's stage. So they really need to keep their competition in check, especially the Scott Racing team.
We're just catching a glimpse of the riders, an aerial view of the teams, and currently bad news for the England Le Punt team on that steep rise. We did expect to see some action on the steeper sections, the punchier sections of the trail, as England Le Punt are a little bit on the back foot, you could say, arguably either measuring their efforts and keeping their powder dry before the major climb of the day up to the 2,000 meter mark. The warm-up climb, you could say, up to Lengmata. This is where it starts to open up, and the England Le Punt team will need to measure their efforts. They still have 2 minutes and 35 seconds buffer over the next team, Scott Racing, Stefano Goria and Focoli, so that'll be their target. They'll need to look out for that Italian pairing. That's their first objective, is to look at their nearest rivals on GC, and perhaps just keeping the pace steady. Just by default, they'll be able to keep the likes of Topado Kende FSA, both teams at bay. Right behind Jose Diaz, who is partnered with David Valera, the European champion. And they are riding in the shadows, enjoying the race unfold. And on the left, on the right-hand side, we just saw one of the Topado Kende FSA 2 teams, and who's witnessing the action right now on board with Stefan Sam. Stefan, over to you to tell us what's happening in the race right now. Go ahead, Stefan.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a tricky situation coming up the tar road in the valley, because the chase group had split up. But one Scott team and one Scott rider and one Topado rider was in the chase group, and one Topado and one Scott rider was in the second chase group with the yellow jersey. And it was unclear for a short moment what's going to happen, who's going to follow, who's going to lead. And now Scott has attacked out of the second chase group and made it, I don't know which rider it was from Scott, and made it to the front of the chase group, or the first chase group. So bit of a tricky situation. Le Punt Engadine trying to close the gap now as it's getting gradual climbing and a little bit steeper. Everything's still very close together, and everybody inside. But it looks like, if I see to the front, Scott Racing has attacked out of that chase group. They have like 100 meter, maybe 150 meter gap now. So the racing has started.
Thanks, Stefan, for bringing us the insights from the trail. No better person and no better position to tell us exactly what's happening out on the trails right now. We did expect big attacks from Scott Racing 2. They promised it yesterday. They promised it this morning in the interviews, that it's going to be all out. They have nothing to lose. Everything to lose. England Le Punt, of course, in the yellow jerseys. We saw Fadri Barandun leading Andreen Bailey up the climb, measuring that effort. They are, at the moment, on the steepest section of the route currently, the section up to Lengmata. And before long, there'll be a short descent, and then they'll be looking forward to the second service station, the second water point, before mounting the challenge on the final climb of the day. We're with the leaders on the stage, Honeycomb 226's Mark Pritson and Felix Steli. They already have a 1 minute buffer, 1 minute 11 to be honest. And we just looking back at those time checks. Engel and Lapointe were still at that point. That was at the 36-kilometer mark. 25 to go. A little bit further on than that last time check. We see the riders just getting to near the top of Lengmata. The yellow jerseys have the chase group in sight. In sight, of course, when we say that, it's the Italian champion and the Swiss champion of Fabian Ravenstein and Casey South, respectively. And also with them is the second Topada Kenda FSA team. But the team that the yellow jerseys need to look out for are the Scott Racing team. Not quite in sight. And in this level of racing, in sight, having the riders in sight makes all the difference. And as soon as the Scott Racing team leave the field of vision of the yellow jerseys, that's when things start to get seriously dangerous as they head up to the Lengmata section of the trail. There are currently 25 kilometers to go.
Yeah, you really don't want to lose your competition out of sight. It's kind of, it always helps, especially fighting the pain in the legs when you can see the carrot ahead of you. And of course, the team ahead is really trying to get away out of sight, to get the benefit of them just hurting that much more.
Now that carrot, that rabbit up ahead is all important, and the racing is turning out to be just as promised. It's absolutely full gas, white hot, and anything could happen. We cannot predict a winner. We can maybe predict a winner of the stage because Steli and Pritson are on a charging day. They are losing and gaining time as the trails go up and down, but it's all eyes on the yellow jersey. Can they maintain that lead? They have a 2 minute 35 buffer, and already eating into that buffer is the team of Scott Racing.
Ooh, and these slippery bridges can be really, really treacherous. They don't have any wire on it. They are not made for cycling. So these sort of bridges are extremely dangerous to go over. But they all navigated that well. I'm sure the parents of Andrine and Fadri, they are biting their fingernails off at the moment. It's really a family enterprise here for those two. Their parents were just racing from spectator point to spectator point every day and trying to support their sons here in the leaders' jerseys.
Well, 20 seconds is what we see at the moment between Gorea Fakoli, that's the Scott Racing team, and the yellow jerseys in the chase group. But Pritson and Steli, here we see from an aerial view right now, they are in charge of the stage. But 40 seconds back, Gorea and Fakoli, just the speed at which they've attacked out of that chase group at an opportune moment, just when they sensed weakness on the steeper trails. They are suited to those punchy climbs. As they said yesterday in the interview, punchy climbs are what they are most suited to, and that's when they drove that gap between them and the yellow jerseys. Yellow jerseys have stated themselves they are better on the long, steady climbs, which of course is the climb up to the final climb up to the 2007 meter mark. But that's the remiss of the team of Scott Racing to wait for that point, to wait for that section of the trail, and rather to drive home the advantage where they are best, where they shine. Section up to Lengmata, they've made it count, the Scott Racing team, and they have a 20-second advantage over the yellow jerseys. We are watching the aerial footage, but down on the ground we are tracking the race with Thomas Ditch, the Bulls Media e-bike. Thomas, over to you to tell us how things are looking at the front end of the field. Just still establishing an audio connection with Thomas Dietsch right now as he tracks the team of Pritsen and Steli, the Honeycomb 226s, as they tear down this smooth section of tarp. And although we aren't on those iconic trails right now, it's going to be a welcome respite from the rough trails we've seen so far. Currently with the chasing group 2, in fact, 45 seconds down. Valero and Diaz are on the back of that group.
And is it now about a minute between the Scots racing team and Engadin Lapunt?
We'll need to keep an eye on those time checks. Those are from the tracker, from the live trackers that we have out on the field, on the bikes. And so at 22 kilometers to go, we know that that's the distance to go. We'll just keep an eye on that time check. The service station at Lengmata, that's where we are right now. We've just seen them tear through 43 kilometers into the race, 22 to go. Honeycomb 226's Mark Pritsen and Felix Steli grab the bottles that have been specially prepared for them as they continue on their campaign. In just a few seconds, we'll see just where Scott Racing is out on the course. We predict around about 40 seconds, as is indicated by the graphic, 45 seconds, and then all eyes on when Engadin Lapunt come in, because that's where the race is happening now. Between Scott Racing and Engadin Lapunt, the two top teams on overall GC. Before we started the day, there was a gap of 2 minutes and 35 on overall. And Scott Racing are looking to wrestle that lead away from the yellow jerseys.
Yeah, and they're in a good group here, which helps them to preserve some energy. They just need to get the bottles. It looks like Andri is water boy for Andrin Bailey. And it's just a quick stop to fetch these 2 bottles. And off they go again.
Just some quick storage of the bottle there
And
from the rider Fadri Barendun. The yellow jerseys, Engadin Lapunt, are very much in touch once again with Scott Racing. They've managed to close that gap, to shut down the threat that Scott Racing have pose at the moment. The gauntlet was thrown down, but answering admirably was Engadin Lapunt. Now all together, quick roll call in the chase group right now. We just saw them head through the time check at Lengmata, 43-kilometer mark. That is the service station. Roll call at that service station at 50 seconds off the pace. Honeycomb 226s. That gap is waning a little bit. Scott Racing 2, Tapada Kenda FSA 1 and 2, Engadin Lapunt, and in the shadows just a short way back, Klimatiza Orbia, all passing through there. So 5 teams in the chase group. And with the Honeycomb 226s up ahead, Felix Steli and Mark Pritsen to hold that advantage. And it went up as high as 1 minute 30, but now it's down to 50 seconds at that time check. 21 kilometers to go for Pritsen and Steli. Can they hang on to that lead?
yeah, I spoke to Mark Pritsen before the stage. Talked a bit about the bike setup. We all talked about the 32-inch wheels, but something to consider is also the tires. There's not that many tire brands yet that produce 32-inch tires. The 2 of them are opting for Schwalbe tires, specially made. Seem to be very happy with it. And the fork, there's also not many fork manufacturers yet doing a special fork for that. They've got an upside-down fork from now I forgot the name.
Well, I believe it was a hybrid between the RockShox outfits. So they took the RockShox dampers and the existing crown, and that's how they put together that fork.
Yeah, RockShox is coming out with a 32-inch wheel fork very soon. But interestingly, it's back to upside-down fork.
And many believe that the upside-down fork is perhaps the better option, but not as easy to manufacture as, of course, a standard crown fork.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a catch-22. There's rocks flying around in mountain biking, so they can easily scratch the stanchion. On the other side, the oil can always flow into the stanchion and lubricate them. It's really nice and smooth like that. But yeah, if the rocks fly onto the stanchions, you obviously easily scratch them.
And some of the manufacturers put a small guard in front of those stanchions, but it is a relatively unlikely thing where a rock would fly up, but it still can happen. But almost more likely would be a crash. And the stanchions being so close to the axle of the wheel, it is a little bit more vulnerable than the standard fork. Good to have some tech talk with you, Ariane, on those forks, and as the new format develops. We are in the beginning of this new 32-inch format. It might not quite be catching on as fast as the 29er caught on 15 years ago, but nonetheless, it is still another serious option for the riders to consider a larger wheel. A little bit more difficult to roll, and also a little bit less maneuverable, but the fact remains the larger wheel does roll better over surfaces and enjoys the flywheel effect. Watching the riders head up the trail, and we're going to be, if you're tuned in on the live feed, you'll be continuing with us. But if you are watching on Swiss TV, you'll be treated to a quick insert on, we've referred to him earlier as the greatest of all time, Nino Schurter. Quick feature on the most decorated mountain biker in the world. If you're still with us on YouTube on the live stream, we are currently tracking the European champion who is in the shadows. We've talked about Klimatisa Orbia. They were the on-form team going into the race. Had a mechanical. David Valero, the European champion, Olympic medalist, former World Cup winner, is the Spanish rider riding with the Portuguese champion, Jose Diaz. At the back of the group, you could arguably say they're not interfering with what is going on with the race for overall GC.
And you just see a little, a nice showcase of his skills while others are walking. David Valero just easily rides over these slippery routes there. Beautiful.
Highly skilled rider, David Valero.
Yeah, he's definitely still got some good skills left from his cross-country years and years of racing that. But also incredible power on the flats. What was very impressive for me was that he won the Hero Dolomites race that is so much climbing. It's 4,500 meters of climbing and basically just steep walls up. And I mean, this man is pretty tall and definitely carries some weight with his size. And yeah, in comparison to riders like Leonardo Paes, who won that race about 13 times or 8 times and 13 times on the podium, had a tough time against him, and that was for me incredibly impressive. So he's would definitely be made for this type of terrain here in the Swiss Alps as well.
Definitely one of the classiest riders in the field currently at the Swiss Epic Valero, riding with the Portuguese champion Jose Diaz, both of them having competed at the Alps Epic, the pinnacle of the Epic series. As we look at the graphic in the elite men, with 20 kilometers to go, Pritzen and Steli lead that chasing group. 50 seconds is the gap that is predicted by the trackers out there. And looking quick roll call of that chasing group, Rabensteiner in south, Valero Diaz, and of course the Topada Kenda FSA team. Both teams, most importantly, the yellow jerseys are well entrenched in that chase group. It'll all come down to that final climb. And talking of that final climb, Dario Linda is there right now. Over to you, Dario.
Hello, back here in Clavadel. This is exactly the place where the last real long uphill starts to Clavadeleralp. So this one is a real hard one. It's not only on this surface, on proper surface, it's on gravel road, and it's getting steeper and steeper and steeper and steeper. Yeah, that's the thing. So we're waiting here for the top boys, still Mark Britzen and Felix Steli, and we'll cheer for him. We'll cheer for everybody here.
Tom, go!
Go, 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 go.
Great to see the atmosphere down on the ground. And we're with the European champion, David Valero, and he has to be content to leave the racing to go up the road. And it's all lighting up right now. We could be witnessing history right now, history being written, as we see the yellow jerseys struggling on that final climb up to the 2007 meter mark. This is the moment that we've been waiting for. This is the climb where it's all going to happen. We predicted it in the start. We've been looking at it all day. And the Scott Racing team, this is where we're going to be seeing the action happening. Scott Racing, Goria and Fokoli are on a charging day, on a charging week, and a fantastic stage 3 where they spent 20 kilometers in the lead. They were being tracked by the Tapada Kende FSA 2 team, who pipped them at the finish. They made good yesterday on the stage, winning, making absolutely certain, breaking away from the other teams, distancing Tapada Kende FSA, and making certain that they were able to ride solo to the finish. Clearly one of the fastest teams in the world right now in mountain bike stage racing, the young Italians Goria and Fokoli, and they are up the road right now, and it's up to the yellow jerseys, Fadri Barendun and Andri Bieli, to keep everything under control. Here we are with the Scott Racing team. This is where it's all happening. Ariane, what do you think is going on right now? Tapada Kende FSA 1 seems to be able to match it with their second Tapada Kende FSA teammate, Jolie de Cosmo. What's your prediction for the stage?
Yeah, it's difficult to make 2.5 minutes in this climb, I would say. But, you know, yeah, I think they can suffer through the yellow jerseys. The locals here from the area, from the Graubünden area, it looks like Fadri is just a little bit suffering at the moment. Hopefully he's going to find his legs again, but also with Scott we have one that's always looking back and checking in with his teammate. I think it's Stefano Goria, who's got a little bit better legs today, and checking in with his teammate David Fokoli. Constantly, just not to, he needs to encourage him, he can't lose him. It's sometimes difficult, even in its own team, not to break your partner, you know. But yeah, they must be motivated. They really want to claim the top spots of the general GC, and they really need to dig deep now.
Now we're in the chase group, but this is, of course, is the very front of the chase group. We have the Honeycomb 226s out front, up in the lead, Mark Britzen and Felix Steli. But at the time check shortly a moment ago, and we saw they had a 50-second advantage. But as we are right now, we are at the front of the chase group. Most notably, Enged and Lepunt have been dropped. In the elite women, there is no doubt it's the firepower of Weinbier and Peretti up ahead, breaking free of that chase group that we saw earlier. With the 3 teams now, Sosna, Pinelli and Marquette are free of that group, leaving it up to the Marcy ISB team fighting it out with Sportograph.com.
But still a thrilling race between the 3rd and the 4th team. They are not too far apart from each other on GC, to about 2.5 minutes. It's between the Sportograph team in currently in 4th place on GC, still trying to fight for that podium spot against the KTM, the ISB team of Tessa Kortekas and Amanda Berlin.
We just see the team of KTM Spider Brent Breaks Olympia pass some of the amateur men and just making way for the elite women right now. You, Ariane, you've been at the front of affairs in the elite women field. You know what it's like. There's some good sportsmanship out on the course there with the amateur men.
Yeah, mostly. It's really you get different experiences, but really it's come along really well. In the past, we had often mass starts in the marathon. It took a while to get that through. The Epic series, Cape Epic, was really leading the way to give the women a separate start and also implement the non-drafting rule, and that just created that awareness that women want to race separately, that they've got their own race, and that they don't want to be left alone and not be interfered by the men. So it really got better and better as the years went by.
Weinbeer and Peretti lead, and all eyes on that chasing group on that battle for the third spot on overall general classification. You've been speaking about it a moment ago, Ariane. It's a prestigious thing to stand on the podium at the Swiss Epic, for sure. You've stood on the top step once or twice, in fact, and no doubt on the podium before. And just having the name in lights, it makes a big difference for the morale and also for the team.
Yeah, and the sponsors, it's super hard these days to get sponsors that finance the racing, and obviously you want to give back to these supporters, make it worth their while investing into it. And since the pandemic, there was a big hype around the pandemic in the bike industry, but unfortunately it went pretty downhill from there, and lots of the bike teams, or the teams, are struggling. There's a few teams folding actually after the season. And yeah, it's certainly important, and that's what the Epic Series really does well, to give courage to those riders, to the sponsors, and keep the sport alive.
And now we're tracking the second place team out on the course. Sosna Pelele in the Lithuanian championship jersey. She's held that jersey 13 times.
Yeah, incredible.
Katarzyna is a well-known campaigner in the Epic Series, and also, of course, in mountain biking, the marathon discipline. She's riding with Georgia Marquette. 2 minutes 5 seconds behind the pairing of Weinbeer and Peretti, and they're broken free of that chase group, leaving Marcy ISB Sport to fight it out with Sportograph.com for that third spot on the podium. 26 kilometers to go for the elite women.
Yeah, and it's the younger rider of Georgia Marquette leading out, Katarzyna Sosna, who's really seen it all. She's actually taken a sabbatical for a year, the season before last, and come back, and yeah, still looks like the same version. And here is Amanda Bolin leading out Tessa Cortecas. Is that an attack on the Sportograph team? Can they get rid of their rivals already here?
Well, we could say they're on the second last major climb of the day, the steep climb up to Lengmata. And Amanda Bolin looking to put some pressure down and put their rivals, Team Sportograph, in a bit of trouble. But the Team Sportograph are admirably responding. Dario Linder is awaiting the riders at the service station, and we'll be hearing from him in just a moment. And it's over to Dario Linder.
You're checking here as well, Maybe the last corner.
Yes, we're still waiting for the top man. We just can see Fedri Barandun's mother down there. She's cheering really loud for her son. Yeah, they're still at the moment in the lead at general classification. But now this last and real hard uphill start. Here is Clavadel. Up there is Clavadeleralp, highest point of today's stage. So the leading motorbikes are coming. That means the leaders are coming. Mark Britzen, Felix Steli, come on! Wepa! It just went through. Mark looks, as always, very fresh. Where did he take that power from? He looks so fresh. Felix is a bit of, yeah, he's struggling a bit at the moment. But now the long climb is coming. We're waiting for the next ones.
We're just following the chase group of the elite men, and it looks like that the yellow jerseys are back in touch with the hard charging Scott racing team. We saw a steep section of the route with Stefano Correa and Foccoli challenging at the leader jerseys, but they have neutralized that attack. Engert and Lepunt are still very much in charge of this race. The Honeycomb 226s are a short distance ahead, but less than a minute, and with the Honeycomb 226s at 8 minutes and 8 seconds on overall GC behind, there is still...
Yeah, it's just
Engert
about
and
a
Lepunt.
minute between the two leaders and the chase group here.
And most notably, who is in that chase group? We've got a good roll call there. And like we were saying, that attack from Scott Racing and Topata Kinda FSA, both teams, in fact, taking their chance and attacking the yellow jerseys. Engert and Lepunt have closed that gap. All together now with 15 kilometers to go as they approach the steeper section of the trail, the final mount up to the 3rd service station.
Yeah, and here we see how the leaders, the yellow leaders with Fadri Barandun, are closing the gap to Scott's Racing again. So they neutralized that. And the race starts again. There's slowly not enough road anymore to make up 2.5 minutes. But anything can happen on the trails. We don't hope it, but it's definitely still a thrill till the finish line today.
We're watching some of the footage from the air and also from the Bulls Meter e-bike as they track this chasing group 45 seconds back, containing the big teams.
Yeah, and here they go again. Scott in the front, but David Foccoli doesn't quite, or his legs don't quite agree yet with Stefano Goria's.
It's all part of the dynamics of team stage racing. Both team members need to be in sync. And we can see this is really where the yellow jerseys need to make it count. They need to respond to anything they possibly can to stay in touch with the challenging pairing of the Scott Racing team. It's all to play for now. This is where we predicted it would all happen. Up to the climb, up to the 2007 meter mark. That is the altitude and the highest point in the race before we head down the Ischalp Trail and the Bolgen Trail. And yellow jerseys will be super keen to stay in touch with that attack. Quick look at the graphic. Britson and Steli are up ahead. And what do you think, Ariane, is going to happen right now? We can see one of the Scott Racing team up ahead, but the second team member not quite able to respond to the speed of his teammate.
Yeah, I think it's David Foccoli who's looking down at his power meter and just trying to find a little bit more watts in his legs to push and join his teammate up ahead. Maybe also a tactic to get into the single track first and play a tactical game there, but it's probably going to be tricky. But they're definitely going to try everything just to get these two yellow riders here out of their leaders' jerseys.
Scott Racing trying all they can, but of course all the yellow jerseys need to do is match the second place rider, the second rider out on the course. And that second rider right now, we're looking at right now, sandwiched between the two yellow jerseys, with Topata Kinda FSA also mounting a challenge, but they too need to be in sync. But the yellow jerseys, I'm impressed with the maturity of the pairing of Fadri Barendun and Andrien Bieli. They're riding with real stage racing heads. They are super experienced riders in their own right, but leading a race of this magnitude, of this level, is another thing altogether, and they are doing a fantastic job, a sterling job of really mastering the field and able to dominate the race and to respond to any attacks. They did expect it all to play out on this climb that they are right now. It does suit them a more gentle gradient than we've seen in the past, but still, it still means they need to put down the power for a significant number of minutes to stay in touch with this fierce attack set by the Scott Racing team. Tapata Kenda FSA also keen to get up the road, but they are not able to escape. They're not able to rip themselves free from the grips of the yellow jerseys. We're with Stefan Sam on the Bulls Media e-bike, and he is tracking the riders right now. He'll have a very good idea of what's playing out in terms of tactics. And Stefan, over to you to tell us, give us your insights out on the course today.
Yeah, Tapata Kenda, they just launched a little attack. Everybody's trying, like Ariane said, for a couple of more watts up that steep hill. Scott Racing trying to follow, but one rider of Scott Racing has some problems. I think it's Stefano trying to close that gap. It's like 3 meters to his partner. That's the moment when it hurts the most. Also Lapund trying to keep contact with the guys. Everybody's suffering, everybody's on the limit to the max up this hill. And it's still some way to go.
It's now Andrien Bieli looking to struggle a little bit here. Just off the wheel of Fadri Barendun. And really trying to dig deep here. It's so painful after so many days to still race so hard, such a hard intensity. We're also on altitude. Most of the riders must have done some altitude training. I talked to Casey South, and he said, well, yeah, that's super important. He's living in Italy almost on altitude, and with the Buff BH team, because of Martin Stossek not being well the last months, he was ill. He had something like glandular fever, but not quite that virus. I was told they didn't know the name of it, but he couldn't go on altitude training, and that's why they are not up here. He had quite a battle with some illness. And yeah, you definitely need to be in absolute top shape to go with these guys up here in the front. And it's Scott, again, putting in a little gap to the yellow jerseys.
And turning the screws for sure. Scott Racing, they know this is the moment that they have. This is their last chance, really, at putting any kind of challenge to the yellow jerseys. And the yellow jerseys of Andrien Bieli, Fadri Barendun dropping back to help his partner, Andrien Bieli. They know that this climb really counts. All they need to do is measure their efforts. They have a buffer of 2 minutes and 35, which was neutralized earlier, just before the climb. It's an 8-kilometer climb, but they have only a handful of kilometers still to go. By our predictions, 2 or 3 kilometers to go at this point. But of course, 2 or 3 kilometers at this speed, at 10, 12, 15 kilometers an hour, will just take them some time to cover, some minutes to cover. And if Fadri Barendun can keep his efforts steady and manage his partner's efforts as well, Andrien Bieli. Fadri Barendun, arguably, he's the taller rider and arguably the stronger rider. Today, in particular, they are very well matched. But today, Bieli just struggling on that climb. Scott Racing, Stefano Correa. Stefano not quite on the pace of his partner, David Foccoli.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all about that second team mate. It's all about where the time is taken at the line from the second place rider, and all the yellow jerseys need to worry about are Stefano. Really, that's all they have to watch out for. Whereas up the road is almost immaterial. It's the wheel of Stefano. So
yeah, it will depend a little bit how they race, how they ride in the downhills. I'm not too sure about their skills, the two of them. If Davide maybe just wants to get a little bit ahead, but that's also a big risk to take. If something happens to Stefano and they exceed the 2 minutes between them, that can mean a penalty.
They're obliged by the rules of the race to stay within 2 minutes of each other, and that penalty is something they would want to avoid.
And they catch the leading team. Here is Mark Pritson and Felix Daly caught by the Scots team.
That gap has been absolutely obliterated on this climb. We expected things to happen. We expected fireworks, but the steep climb up to the 52-kilometer mark is certainly taking its toll on Felix Daly, as Mark Pritson is desperate to keep them in ahead. They know that they've only been reached by one of the Scott Racing team, and still waiting for Stefano to arrive at his partner's side. But it looks like Mark Pritson and Felix Daly more or less haven't quite been caught, but the signs are there that the stage doesn't belong to them completely, not unequivocally their stage to keep. So perhaps a tactical decision at the moment. Do they keep pressing on? Do they keep the advantage? Or do they drop back and manage their efforts and save their legs for that sprint finish? That's the question.
Yeah, I guess they just want to make it into the downhill in front of everybody else to let this 32-inch wheels rolling as fast as possible and possibly stay ahead on the descent. That would be at least my hope if I were them.
And this on the left here is the climb of his life. Andrien Bieli knows that this is the most important 10 minutes of his life right now, as the yellow jerseys fight to retain control, keep control of that lead, with Scott Racing to up the road.
Yeah, they really want to keep them in sight. They want to see them in front of them. And it's really, I mean, in mountain biking, yeah, you can't quite go absolutely empty into a downhill. You need to still keep something. You need to still see clear going into the descent, navigating the trails. Even though the two of them certainly know a lot of the terrain around here and very much used to all that's expecting them ahead. But still, like one little mistake and the race can be gone.
Still very much in charge of the day and of the week. KTM Sparta Brent Breaks Olympia, after 2 hours and 16 minutes of racing. Weiner Weinbeer and Claudio Peretti have passed through that time check, and the clock ticks as we await the next team out on the course. Topata Kenda FSA, Katarzyna Sosna-Pinele and Georgia Marquette. Anna Weinbeer leads the way on the descent.
Yeah, and she's a very solid descender as well. So is Claudia Peretti. Certainly a bit different to the cross-country riders who manage jumps and everything. That's not something marathon riders necessarily need to do. But you got to improvise. You're not able to practice the course as you would do in a cross-country race, where you know every rock, every route. And it takes quite a lot of experience, and you also mostly go down on higher speeds, and that's something that marathon riders are really good at, going down fast sections, gravel roads at a high speed. And here we have an overview over the women's race. So Kortekars and Bolin actually managed to drop the Sportograph.com team of Bettina Janas and Kim Ames and solidified their third position on GC.
It certainly looked good for the Marcy ISP Sport as they improved day by day over the week. And as Sportograph had a fantastic day, coming second on the stage, on stage one. Bettina Janas and Kim Ames. Bettina Janas perhaps suffering from the effects of that crash that we saw, that dramatic crash on stage one. They managed to pick themselves up, or Bettina Janas did. Kim Ames managing her partner's efforts. But Sportograph.com struggled over stages 2, 3, and 4.
And here we see Georgia Marquette and Katarzyna Sosna picking up their bottles. always tricky not to make a whole domino out of it on this table. And they on the road again.
That sounds like something that's happened in front of your eyes, Ariane. The domino effect of all of the pro bottles.
Yeah, I still remember epic days where even actually we were still racing with the men, and we arrived all together at these water tables, tried to pick up bottles, and yeah, you were picking them out of the sand. They were all over the show.
And we're looking on the left-hand screen. We're with the men in the chase group and watching the Topado Kende FSA team. The Topado Kende FSA team, 2 team, currently out on the course, and we'll be getting some time checks from that point in the racing. We've seen them at the very top of the climb. Honeycomb 226s came over that climb with the Topado Kende FSA team. That was the team of De Cosmo and Dorigoni, and in close contact was Scott Racing 2. Correa and Focoli managed to get in touch with each other. Climatiza Orbia, Valero and Jose Diaz passed through there, and riding together with Engadin Lapunt. So 19 seconds back are the pairing of Fadri Barendun and Andri Bailey. 20 seconds in the race, having completed the main obstacle of the day. It looks like Engadin Lapunt might have actually overcome the challenges of the day and being able to resist the challenges of Scott Racing 2. It's still too early to tell. There's still some significant descending to be done, along with a last kicker within the last 5 kilometers. But of course, that 2 minutes and 35-second advantage, the buffer they have on overall GC, Engadin Lapunt would do well to ride conservatively now to the finish, managing their efforts and trying to get that, just keeping that gap under control. They don't necessarily need to take huge risks on this downhill. That's the order of the day, is no risks. They still have that buffer, but they need to be fully focused on the next 10 kilometers and potentially the most important 10 kilometers of their lives.
Yeah, it's all about keeping the rubber side down and the rubber intact. You don't want to get a puncture, although you can be very quick in fixing something, but 2.5 minutes melt away very quickly if something happens. So it's still very tense going down this hill, and they stay focused. They must have taken a little caffeine gel on the top just to clear the vision and see all that's ahead of them.
Conventional wisdom would say you'd need that caffeine gel before the climb, but actually
Probably.
Interesting to know that, well, to me, that it would be interesting that you would want to take it on the descent, because that's when you really need to be completely alert and ready for those unpredictable conditions. Unpredictable maybe to some, but to the Swiss pairing, Engadin Lapunt, they know this area like the back of their hand. They certainly know the Engadin very well, but Barendun and Bieli have been on the limit on the climb, and they know they're a little bit on the back foot, but with 20 seconds at play, they still have every chance, everything to play for the current chasers, but the leaders of the week, leaders on overall general classification. 11 kilometers to go. Very important 11 kilometers for Fadri Barendun and Andrien Bieli. Never worn the yellow jersey before, and they surged into yellow with over 4 minutes advantage. And the other teams have been biting chunks out of it throughout the week. And it's just a quick foot down, just making sure that that corner is covered. Engadin Lapunt descend off the highest point in the race and into the Ischalp Trail.
Yeah, they're certainly showing a fantastic form this season. Andrien Bailey and Fadri Barendun, absolutely stellar performance. Now also showing against some international competition. They've shown great form at the Swiss Championships in June, at the Red Evelinard, but now also really showing themselves against some very strong competition here at the Swiss Epic.
Well, look at the virtual GC. That would be if the race stopped at that 51-kilometer mark. Engadin Lapunt still on virtual GC, hang on to their lead. They have 2 minutes and 23 seconds to play for. 11 kilometers to go. Of course, is still a long way in relative terms if you have a puncture, and that really would be the best tactic possible for Engedan LePunt would be to manage their equipment, because they know that it's unlikely they'll lose 2 minutes on a descent into the finish, but they could easily lose that if they have a puncture. So conventionally, if everything goes well for both teams, both of the contending teams for overall, Engedan LePunt would be best served by riding very conservatively at this point.
Yeah, and it's Andrien Bailey a little bit ahead of on the roads, and we see in front of us Fadri Barandun. He's a little bit more cautious on the descent. But no.
On board with the Bulls Media e-bikes, bringing us the coverage of the week, in fact. Unprecedented coverage from the rider's point of view. From the Bulls Media e-bike, Stefan Sam on board. Over to Stefan. Stefan, please tell us how things are unfolding right now in this dramatic finale on stage 5.
Yeah, I'm just following Fadri. He had some problems up the climb, following the group, but now flowing down the trail. And as Ariane said, keep the rubber upside down and keep it intact. He's taking cautious, not risking everything all the time, but just maintaining a good speed.
Well, we were impressed by the maturity of the pairing of Engedan LePunt, Fadri Barandun and Andrien Bailey. They are experienced riders. They haven't led a race like this, but the maturity that they're showing at the moment to ride conservatively when there is a team, their most dangerous rivals are up the road. To manage their efforts and ride within themselves is an extremely difficult temptation to resist, going all out to try and close that gap. But excellent performance from Fadri Barandun and Andrien Bailey so far. We're holding thumbs for them. Nothing, hoping that the commentator's curse doesn't apply to them or doesn't affect them. But so far, so good for the all-Swiss pairing. Team came into the race with, wouldn't say with low expectations. They definitely put all the preparation they needed to, preparing for what would say is you could say would be the peak of their season. Preparing at altitude, riding the trails they'd be riding during the race. And Engedan LePunt found themselves leading the race by over 4 minutes. Fantastic performance all week, in fact, and a mature performance from Barandun and Bailey.
Yeah, Fadri is now living in Goor, which is not on altitude, but he's grown up in the Engadin Valley on altitude, so he's still benefiting from that for sure. And Andrien Bailey from Larks, it's not quite on altitude, but he's always in the mountains, of course, riding up there. They actually just had to stay a little bit further out in Flims since the other house is being renovated. His mom told me. But yeah, they definitely made this a big target in their season, and it all played out. Fantastic to see the locals here who don't have like a very professional setup like the other teams with everything sorted. It's very much their family supporting them. And yeah, they definitely all very nervous today, mom and dad cheering for their sons.
We just caught a short glimpse of the graphic showing that the Honeycomb 226s, Topata Kenda FSA 2 and Scott Racing are in the lead group, and 20 seconds off that lead group. Klimatiza Orbia, Engedan LePunt. Engedan LePunt would be well placed to work and cooperate with Klimatiza Orbia as the race flattens out. David Valera and Jose Diaz looking to climb on the podium on today's stage, and by cooperating with Engedan LePunt, they have every chance of that. So perhaps the pairing of Barandun and Bailey can take advantage of the ambitions, the stage ambitions of David Valera and Jose Diaz.
Yeah, it's still a good 7 kilometers after descent going to the finish, and not all flat rolling. There's still a little tooth sticking out in the profile that they need to race over. So still some pain coming into the legs soon.
And that little sting in the tail you're talking about, Ariane, happens with about 3 kilometers to go. But not a significant enough, not a long enough climb necessarily to gain the 2 minutes that Scott Racing need to gain over their rivals, the leaders on GC, Engadin LePunt.
Yeah, Scott is now up in front with the leaders, and we see on the screen it's 35 seconds back to the leaders' jerseys at the moment.
One significant team missing from that chase group, the chase group of the yellow jerseys, is Topata Kenda FSA 1. And that's Ravensteiner and South. They were almost a minute off the pace, 40 seconds off the pace of the yellow jerseys. Ravensteiner and Casey South struggling maybe a little bit on that final climb. We saw Fabian Ravensteiner lose a minute on yesterday's stage, on stage 4, in the major climb of the day. So Topata Kenda FSA 2, De Cosmo and Doragoni won't have the tactical help of Topata Kenda FSA, but they'll be looking to jump on the back of the ambitions of Scott Racing 2. Scott Racing 2 will not be necessarily looking for the stage. They'll be looking for the overall GC. Perhaps they'll be getting some time checks out on the course, and then they'll know that that gap is not significant enough to mount a challenge on the yellow jerseys. Then their ambitions might change. Who knows what's going on in the minds of the Italians. Stage win still prestigious, but of course that second spot on podium, not to want to risk it. And if there's any chance they could snatch that top spot from Engadin LePunt, they'll take it.
Yeah, and Engadin LePunt also just came down the so-called Gugelibahn here in Davos. They almost smell the finish line, but it's not quite straight to the finish line yet. They are going to do a little loop just to get an extra portion of pain before the deserving champagne.
Well, that gap has gone to 30 seconds. It was 20 seconds before we went down the trail, so a conservative descent from Barendon and Bierli, and they are alone right now. They are isolated, but they all know exactly what to do. If they can just keep the pace high and measure their efforts, they still have 2 minutes on overall general classification. They have that buffer, 2 minutes over the Scott Racing team. Stefano Correa and David Facoli, it looks like a tall order to try and reduce that gap of 2 minutes, but that will not be for lack of trying.
Yeah, and the South African Swiss pair really tried for a stage win on the last stage here. Mark Pritson and Felix Daly, but it's Daly that just can't quite match his teammates' power. And they need to let go of the stage win. It's the Topata Kenda team and the Scott Racing team that are very much in contention for the stage win.
We could just see that body language of the Scott Racing team. They know that this is a section of trails that really, really count. They know that Engadin LePunt are on the back foot 30 seconds down. They might not know the exact gap, but they will be very clear that this is their one opportunity to put down the power. Stefano Correa and David Facoli of Scott Racing to lead the race. They are closely tracked by Topata Kenda FSA's Jolie de Cosmo and Jakob Doragoni, and dropping off that pace, Honeycomb 226's Mark Pritson and Felix Steli. Always complicated when a team that has ambitions for a grand finale victory that might not be featuring on overall general classification. Always difficult when the racing is this close and when the stakes are that high, because they know they're going to get caught up in the battle for GC. And that's exactly what happened with the Honeycomb 226s. So they had a great break out front, but of course when the racing reached fever pitch, Scott Racing put the power down. And now the gap, the race is now well and truly a race for general classification. Scott Racing are out front, and we'll be able to cross to the Bulls Media e-bike to see if the Topata Kenda FSA team are able to match that fierce, that white-hot pace set by Scott Racing.
And that's the last little bit before the finish. They are 5 kilometers away, 7 kilometers away from the finish here. the last little climbs going up. At this stage, it's 30 seconds behind for the leaders jersey of Fadri Barandun and Andrien Bailey behind the Scots team. Here they are, and it's really impressive, the power of Davide Foccoli. I made a mistake before. I always thought it was Stefano in front, but it's actually Davide who's got the better legs of today, pulling his teammate along, and now they've got a gap. If not the yellow leaders jersey, they may as well take another stage win here.
And that's exactly what the advantage of being in the front is. They are solo. They've managed to distance the team of Topata Kende FSA. It's a few seconds in it, but we're being tracked by the Bulls Media e-bike of Thomas Ditch. Very experienced campaigner in the Epic series over the years, but now turned his trade to following the race on the Bulls Media e-bike. Thomas Ditch knows exactly how to follow the race and bring us these images, and not interfering in the state of affairs. You can see he is just left a little bit of a gap, allowing the Topata Kende FSA pairing to catch up and to get back in touch with the Scott Racing team on the descent. And now we're in the Bolgen Trail, the final single track section before we head into Davos. And Thomas is bringing us really the most exciting action almost of the week, you could say, where it's all coming down to the wire for the Engadin Lepunt team in yellow, with the Scott Racing team up ahead. 30 seconds is the gap currently between the yellow jerseys, 30 seconds back off the leaders of the day, and charging ahead Scott Racing's Stefano Guerrea and David Foccoli.
Yeah, I just stopped the time by hand as well, and it's indeed still 30 seconds between Scott Racing team and the leaders Engadin Lepunt. So it's still 2 minutes on the GC that the Scots would need to take out of the yellow jerseys to get the GC win, but if not that, we hope they can take away another stage win. But here are the contenders for the stage as well. Torparo Kenda, don't let the Scots team out of sight. They are chasing hard and also still up for contention for this stage win.
Now, we did see this tactic or this situation play out on stage 3, where the ambitious Scott Racing team for overall did break away. They spent 20 Ks in the lead and glued to their wheels, not taking a single turn at the front, not cooperating to Topata Kende FSA 2. That's the tactics. No hard feelings between the 4 Italians, but this could be playing out exactly the same as before. The Topata Kende FSA team know the ambitions of Scott Racing, being in second place on overall GC. They'll take advantage of that, and we'll be able to see whether or not they're keen to cooperate with their fellow Italians, of course riding from a different team. Climatiza Orbia are in the mix as well, where we saw David Valero and Jose Diaz. They are, we could say, in no man's land, but they are, at the time check that we took, they are 10 seconds ahead of Engadin Lepunt. Engadin Lepunt would do well to put down some power and to catch up with the pairing of David Valero and Jose Diaz, who themselves would be keen and ambitious for a stage, a podium spot on the grand finale. Time on stage is important for any rider, and Climatiza Orbia are looking good for a spot on the third spot on the podium today. Overall podium, overall GC is what's in mind for Engadin Lepunt, and the seconds are starting to stretch out that gap. But Engadin Lepunt are managing their efforts. They know that there's no major obstacles still to go. Only one kicker at around about the 3 kilometer to go mark after they pass through the Bolgen Trail. Currently about to reach that point are the leaders on the day, the leaders of the stage. Scott Racing powering ahead, all to play for, all to gain, nothing to lose for Stefano Guerrea and David Foccoli.
Yeah, it's now around 45 seconds between Scott Racing and Engadin Lepunt, but not enough road to make it up to 2.5 minutes, which would need to be made up to get the yellow jersey on the line. But these guys are giving it their all. They never quite know. Something could still happen, so you really want to have given it your all to the finish line and keep those jerseys on their backs.
And that's the thing, is pedal stroke for pedal stroke, the pairing of Barendon and Bieli. They know they can't lose this race if they just keep their efforts steady and if they keep the power down. But the last thing they need is any kind of mechanical. And that's what the buffer affords them, the 2-minute 35-second buffer. When they went into the stage, it affords them that the luxury, you could say, of just any possible eventuality that they have matched up until the very highest point in the race. They almost were able to match them pedal stroke for pedal stroke, leaving a short gap, a 20-second gap at the top, at the 2000, at the water station number 3, the third and the final water station of the day and also of the week. And this is significant. This is where the Tupada Kende FSA team do contribute to the campaign of the Scott racing team. This could spell a difficult situation for Barendon and Bieli, who are 55 seconds back at the 4-kilometer to go mark. Britson and his partner Felix Stili is in the middle of that, and they are now cooperating with David Valero and Jose Diaz. Bad news for the yellow jersey wearers. They all need to know that they can see them in their sights. We just caught a glimpse of them up the road. That will be an encouragement for them, although it's always difficult when you see the carrot dangled up, and when a rider is on their limit and can do nothing to close a 15-20 meter gap. Frustrating state of affairs for the yellow jersey.
Yeah, and we see Troele fighting himself up, throwing everything into the bike just to make it over this bump here, and down it is into the single track. What a relief. No more pain in the legs, hopefully, up until the sprint finish. And on the right, we've got the women's team, quite a lot less to worry about. They've got a solid lead on GC. They just need to make it safe to the finish, and they will take home a beautiful victory. Here is the Lithuanian champion of Katarzyna Żożna and Georgia Marquette. They were third after the first stage, but managed to move up into second and very much grabbed that second place.
Yes,
Riding very solid.
Exactly, they seem to have owned that second place for sure, and just the consistent efforts of the Italian and the Lithuanian. Look at the time checks at the 43-kilometer mark into Langmata. 43 kilometers into the race. Multi ISP Sport do in fact lead Sportograph.com, have broken free of Sportograph.com, aiming for that third spot on overall. That was the race we were predicting to unfold, and Marcy ISP Sport in control of that situation. Not necessarily in control of the situation are the yellow jerseys. All they can do right now is manage their efforts, is control what they can control, which is their own efforts, their own speed. Egan and Lepunt, Fadri Barendon, before going into the stage, they had a 2-minute and 35-second advantage. But if we look at the general classification, the live GC at the moment, it's less than 2 minutes in it, almost a minute and a half buffer. So if the race were to stop now, Ingrid and Lepunt would still have the yellow jerseys, but there, of course, is still 3 kilometers to go. It could come down to the wire.
Yeah, it's definitely still super interesting, but we see now I've stopped the time again, and we'll see how big the gap is between Scott and Engadin Lapunt.
I think we're here on the edge of our seats watching De Cosmo and Doragoni and Goria and Foccoli, the 4 Italians riding for different teams, but they seem to be cooperating in a cooperating pairing of 2 teams. 4 riders riding together with 2 in pursuit is always an advantage for the Scott Racing. Plays into the hands on GC for Scott Racing.
It's around 50 seconds still, so nothing has changed since the last gap that we've seen. 50 50 seconds between Scott and Engadin Lapointe. The yellow jerseys are still on the backs of Fadri Barandun and Andrien Bailey, and they are very glad not having more rocks in the way that could slash the tire. Slowly they advance themselves to smoother terrain, and soon they will be down on the tar road just going through town. Just a few more corners and a few more routes to conquer.
Just to think back to that interview that they had with Andrien Bailey and Fadri Barandun on stage 1. In fact, they had no idea what the time checks were, so what they did is they just kept on putting in maximum effort in their backyard, in the Engadin. They were going absolutely full gas, didn't even think to look back. They just put down the power that they could, and gaining themselves over 4 minutes and 25 seconds that they had on overall general classification, and they must be thanking themselves for that effort right now, as that margin has been diminishing all week. Every day the teams have been taking chunks out of that, and we've been predicting it to come down to the wire for this team now, the Scott Racing team, the next best team on overall general classification. And Ariane, you're taking a manual time check there as they head under the culvert.
Yeah, they still need to run up the stairs on the other side. Not always a nice thing to do after 5 days of racing. Here they go up. And that can also make the difference between stage win and second. There is not really a gap between them. They can still... It's still between Scott Racing and Torparo Kenda. Who's going to take the glory of the stage?
I think if you are in the Scott Racing team camp, you'll encourage Stefano Guerrea and David Ficoli not to even think about the stage. Put down maximum power, all in for the overall general classification. And this does play into the hands, of course, of Tapada Kenda FSA, as De Cosmo and Doragoni will be setting themselves up, keeping their legs just a little bit fresher than their Italian rivals for that sprint, and could be in line for taking their second stage win.
And we just saw the Spotograph team, who was second on the first stage, but then unfortunately lost a little bit of terrain and moved down to 4th, just off the podium. Very tight battle actually for 3rd. But back to the yellow jerseys, who are in the chase and very looking good to keep the yellow jerseys on their backs. It's just around a minute, or just below a minute, between Scots that we see here, that were very much attacking that GC position.
And it's safe to say that mostly out of danger are the Engadin Lapointe team. They're still very much in the game right now, although they're losing time on the stage. As we see the setup for the sprint finish, it is the Scott Racing team arriving at the finish with Tapada Kenda FSA. Tapada Kenda FSA contesting, and not contesting the sprint is the Scott Racing team of Stefano Guerrea, David Ficoli. They're happy to measure their efforts and keep their pace as high as possible, but winning the stage. Fantastic performance from Tapada Kenda FSA, playing tactics perfectly to take their second stage. Congratulations to the Italian pairing, Tapada Kenda FSA. Magnificent performance and a great day out, taking 3rd on the podium. Honeycomb 226's Mark Pritson, Felix Steli. Great to see the South African and the Swiss rider back on the podium this week. Spare a thought for Klimatiza Orbia, coming up empty-handed at this year's race, a 4th position. Nonetheless, a commendable effort from David Falera, the European champion, finishing with the Portuguese champion, Jose Diaz. An unfortunate day 1 put their overall GC hopes, and here we have it. Engadin Lapointe, looking up at the clock, Engadin Lapointe, Fadri Barandun and Andre Bailey are absolutely delighted. They know, even before they see the clock, they know that they've held on to that lead. Engadin Lapointe, the yellow jersey wearers, have done it. What a fantastic performance from this all-Swiss pair, and absolutely clear. Look at the emotions as they cross the line. They have achieved something that they could only have dreamed of before going into the stage on stage 1. They have effectively won their home race. What a performance from the all-Swiss pairing. Engedan Lepunt, the moment belongs to Fadri Barendun and Andrien Bierli. He's smiling, Ariane. You can see that what it means to the riders. You know what it's all about, that feeling when you cross the line, knowing that you've done it, especially with the high-pressure stakes that we've seen today. What a day for this pairing.
Yeah, what a thriller. Definitely the biggest win of their careers, winning the Swiss Epic. And they're such good friends. Even nicer to win it with somebody that you not just share some bike riding with or see at races, but actually are good friends with. And obviously the whole family's behind, the parents. They worked super hard this week, looking after the bikes, looking after the bodies. The girlfriend of Fadri doing all the filming, creating content. It takes a whole team to make this happen.
And the team of Fabian Ravensteiner and Casey South finished the day 2 minutes and 36 seconds back. They will rue this day. They are not able to move up the leaderboard. Let's have a look at what the GC looks like. But it's a great moment for them to see their teammates, the Tapado Kende FSA teammates, move up the leaderboard. And the winners, the defending champions of 2025, finishing the race. Emotions running high for the all-Swiss pairing. The local boys, we've been calling them. And they'll have the entire community behind them to thank for this victory. Of course, it was them that pedaled the bikes. It was them that navigated the trails from the very first climb, the Magdalene climb, heading out of Le Punt on stage 1. We saw that they were absolutely on form. And as they navigated their way through stage 1, they just seemed to be gaining more and more time, finishing the day with 4 minutes and 25 advantage. What a week that these riders have had.
Yeah, they set themselves up on stage 1, getting over around 4.5 minutes on their competition, and they managed to just hold on to it. It was an absolute thriller today. Scott made it super hard for them. They definitely didn't give anything away. They had them suffer, and also the parents on the edge of their nerves, whether they would keep the leaders' jerseys, but they made it, and definitely made not just themselves, but the whole community here proud.
The whole community have been supporting them all the way, and what a week for Bierli and Barendun. It's unusual that a team would take such a big margin on the first day, but very clear that that was the day that really counted. It was effectively the Queen stage. With the adverse weather conditions, we did have to shorten what was initially planned to be the Queen stage, and the 83-kilometer stage 1. 2,650 meters of climbing turned out to be the pivotal stage for Fadri Barendun and Andrien Bierli.
Tears flowing.
The realization will dawn on them with the adrenaline of the racing starting to just wear off. They'll start to feel, and it'll start to sink in, just what they have achieved this week. Look at the general classification. It says it all. Barendun and Bierli from Team Engedan Lepunt. What a performance after 11 hours and 55 minutes, 21 seconds of racing. Goria and Fokoli of Scott Racing tried all they could. They threw absolutely everything at the yellow jerseys, finishing on overall general classification just over a minute and a half back, with Tapado Kende FSA in third. Crossing down to the winners currently.
Okay, so yeah. Any words left? No. Good. Hey, I was, I had the same problem that you had. Now, some tears in the eyes. That was a real nice thing today, because your family been all around, your friends are here. So cool.
Oh, it's incredible. don't know what to say. So many friends and family who came here, and so much support on the whole track. I think we did really good race also today, but we had to suffer so hard.
Yeah, there was a reason why we only made one interview early in the morning, Andrin.
Yeah, I actually the last 2 days I suffered a bit with health issues, like a bad cold. So yeah, I really had to suffer to dig deep. Also today, at the beginning I felt pretty good, but then yeah, it was a big suffer fest. But yeah, when you are in yellow, you can't hold back. You just need to go full gas to the finish line, and yeah, I wanted to give everything also for three. And yeah, we did it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really amazing. So what was the key to win this Swiss Epic? The first stage, you had a lead over 4.5 minutes. What do you think? The pros, the big pros, they just thought, okay, we give them these guys the stage win, or what?
That's something you have to ask them. I don't know, but yeah, I think we were not up on the favorite list before the race, and also for us before the race we talked and we thought we had to be realistic, and if everything works out well, we can maybe reach for a podium, and now we're in yellow.
Now you won the Swiss Epic.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you won the Swiss Epic!
Okay.
And what a story that the Engadin Le Punt team has told us. The stage 5 analysis tells even more of a story with De Cosmo and Doragoni putting down the power, and excellent performance from them in the latter half of the race, and Barendon and Beely doing all they needed to do to hang on to that GC lead. They had a buffer in going into the stage, and they rode absolutely to their limits as we cross over to the elite women, as we are able to watch the top riders come in. Quick recap over there that we see from, that's the graphics below showing De Cosmo and Doragoni from Topata Kinder FSA winning the stage, with Barendon and Beely finishing in 5th on the stage, but most importantly hanging on to that overall GC lead, as we see Riedval and Pernsteiner from the D2 Mont Merida team finishing the race. We've seen Herman Pernsteiner at the Alps Epic at the front end of affairs for long-time campaigner both on mountain bike stage racing and also on the road. Experienced rider. Great to see him out back at the Epic Series, at the Swiss Epic. Himself an Epic legend. And we have Dario Linde down on the line with Scott Racing. Stefano Guerrero throwing all they had at the yellow jerseys. Hearing from them in just a moment.
So, Swiss Epic is over. Looking over to the guys in yellow, how big is the disappointment?
Yeah, of course we are second. It's a good place, good result, but we tried everything to gain as much time as possible. But the leaders were really strong, and they gained a lot of time the first stage. So it was really hard to catch them, and we gain time every day, but it was not enough. But okay, we are still happy.
Yeah. Did you have a crash?
Yeah, I hit the ground on a slippery bridge. It was
these wooden ones.
Yeah. I hit also a bit the head, but it was okay.
You're feeling still okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
Good. So how about you? Davide, tutto a posto con te?
Sì, dai, siamo molto contenti di questa settimana. Comunque sia io che Stefano, a parte la prima tappa, siamo sempre andati molto forte, quindi buone gambe anche in vista dei prossimi appuntamenti. Che dire, abbiamo onorato la gara al meglio delle nostre possibilità. Anche oggi abbiamo cercato in tutti i modi di staccare il team La Punt, ma oggi andavano forte anche oggi, quindi complimenti a loro, erano forti. E peccato per la tappa, abbiamo provato anche a vincere la seconda tappa, ma non ce l'abbiamo fatta. Comunque siamo molto felici.
So that was a sprint at the end, but you were not able to get this one. So yeah, that can happen.
No, the reason is that we had a gap on the leader, and but we didn't know how was the gap, and so to the finish line I said, okay, push everything I had as much as hard as I can to the finish line to gain time, because I don't want to arrive to the finish and have like 2 minutes and waiting for the sprint and not gain as much time as possible on the GC. So I decided to do like this. I pushed to the finish line to gain time on GC, and of course at the finish I didn't. I couldn't sprint because I didn't have much legs. Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes you're empty. Hey, congratulations to you guys, second place, Swiss Epic. Thank you for your racing. That was so good to watch. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Grande. Grazie mille. Grazie a te. Grazie.
And indeed, what a performance from the Scott Racing team, going all in for the GC, perhaps sacrificing their chances at a stage when they did win a stage yesterday. GC was in their sights, emptying the tanks, heading into the finish. Second place on the day, second place on overall GC for the Italians. We're just seeing the team of Klimatise Orbia 2 finishing the day. And that is a team of Samuel Apora and Mark Stutzman. Quick recap, seeing the Topata Kinder FSA team take victory, De Cosmo and Doragoni. They're here with the Italians right now, and Dario Linda will have a chat to them shortly.
So, ancora una volta vincitore della tappa.
Sì, molto bene. No, really happy. Today, I told you this morning we go all out, and we did it. But yeah, for me, I was again suffer all day long. But I think we raced really well. We tried to do our move. We tried to stay in the first group, but then go full gas till the finish. We won again the sprint, and yeah, that was like a good day for us.
That was a really good day. So we chatted about the language of the legs for today earlier in the morning. So the language today was which one?
Super good, super good. The legs they was really fine. But Joel was super fast, and we had only to stay together till the finish. And yeah, it's super nice to finish it off like this with a stage win, with top 3 in the GC. Unfortunately, the first 2 days wasn't super good for us. But at the end, we had 2 wins, 1 second, 1 third, and third in GC. Now we are super happy.
So if you're talking about the first today, what was the problem there for you? Was it because it was too high, the altitude, or whatever?
But I don't know, like me and Jeff, we were at altitude, and we trained really a lot. And so we arrived here like maybe with not super fresh legs. but it was part of the plan. We are here with 2 teams, and we can play our card. Like the first days, the other team goes better than us. Then the second day I have this brief problem that like make me suffer a lot, and we lose again some time. But then yeah, we turned out the week, and yeah, we did like I think podium every day. So we won 2 stages. I think that it was a pretty good week.
It was a pretty good week, yeah, thank you. Hey, what do you think about the stages and the trails? They've been really good this edition.
Yeah, here in the Alps is always super nice, but with the good weather I prefer it. I suffer a lot the cold, so you know, I like it when it's warm and yeah, sunny conditions. And yeah, here the trails are always clean, and the bike park is built perfectly, and there we had always a lot of fun. Yesterday I had a little bit more fun because the local legend Bailey was in front of me, and he made really nice lines, and we did all the jumps and so on. Today I entered as first rider, so I said no, stay clean. You have only to go down. You don't have to make any jump, nothing. Only be safe, and but yeah, it's super nice, and I had a lot of fun.
Thank you, we had a lot of fun with you guys. Grazie mille.
See you next year.
Alla prossima.
Yeah, we can fight for the win next year.
Okay,
sign
good.
it.
The guys are coming back. Sign it. Grazie mille.
Well, there we heard it from the stage winners today, and their name in lights. Tapata Kende FSA 2, Cosmo and Doragoni won the stage. They were able to overcome the hard-charging Scott Racing team, Goro and Fakoli, for a sprint finish, with Scott Racing 2 emptying themselves with their eyes on the GC. Mark Pritson, Felix Stierli, a 3rd spot, adding to their list of great results this year at the Swiss Epic. They have won a stage and 3rd on the day today. They did try their utmost. They had over a 1.5-minute gap in the earlier part of the stages of the stage today, but coming in 3rd ultimately. General classification, here it is. Barendon and Bieli, Engadin de Punt win with Goria Fakoli, Scott Racing 2 at 1:33 back. 3rd spot on the podium. We spoke to them a moment ago, to Cosmo and Doragoni from Team Tapata Kende FSA. Rounding out that podium for a fantastic week out. 2 stage wins for those Italians, and just telling the story of the ups and downs of mountain bike stage racing. Some days were good, some days not so good, and from the lows to the highs, and ending off on an absolute high at the grand finale, the prestigious stage. No doubt the most prestigious stage to win, as the riders finish a beautiful week out. We take a look at some of the highlights from the day. Stage 5, 65 kilometers. The riders had to cover around the trails of Davos. And if that doesn't whet your appetite for the 2027 edition, that's really, we don't know then what to do, because we think those are just the most spectacular images we've seen perhaps all week around the trails of Davos. Quick look at the women. After 3 hours and 13 minutes of racing, 10 Ks to go for Weinbeer and Peretti as they head down towards Bolgen, Sosno, Penele and Georgia Marquette are in second place on the trail. Kortekos and Bolin It's 6:20 down. We did expect a battle between Marcy ISP Sport and Bettini Janus and Kim Amis, but the Sportograph.com team have lost touch with Kortekas and Bolin and are riding in fourth. We're currently with the Bulls Media e-bike, witnessing the world's best Anna Weinbier heading down the trails with Claudia Peretti. The European champion showing us all how it's done. Not only is she the European champion, we've said it before, she's the Swiss champion. And arguably one of the most on-form marathon racers currently at the moment, Anna Weinbier. Tracking the orange jerseys, these are the leaders on overall general classification and on the stage. Going into the day, almost a 32-minute advantage over their rivals. And really early on in the stage, they pressed home their firepower and pressed on the pedals and immediately distanced their rivals. Anna Weinbier, a 31-year-old Swiss rider, riding with Claudia Peretti, 28-year-old Italian. Anna Weinbier competed in the Four Islands Epic earlier this year with Tanja Prille and placed second, and went into this race, the Swiss Epic in 2026, as the elite women's overall favorite, living up to that, riding with Claudia Peretti. Claudia Peretti rode the Swiss Epic in 2021 with Costanza Fazolis, placing third overall. So she's looking to get her first win alongside her Swiss compatriot Anna Weinbier. Claudia Peretti also having competed at the Alps Epic, placed fourth, just off the podium with Margot Marchetti. And the Four Islands race, she was second in 2021 and in 2022 with Costanza Fazolis. So, campaigner in the Epic Series, Claudia Peretti, Epic legend, and currently on track to put the best result of her career onto her palmares. Claudia Peretti, Italian, riding with Anna Weinbier, as they have 9 kilometers to go before they can raise their arms in the air and say that they have won the Swiss Epic in 2026. Team name, KTM Spada Brent Breaks Olympia. A long week they've had, but they have not put a foot wrong. Claudia Peretti able to match the match her Swiss teammates, pedal stroke for pedal stroke, measure their efforts. Good team dynamic between the two of them. A unique and special pairing for the race. They ride for different bike brands, but clear that this cooperation, although they have been rivals up until the beginning of the week, they knew that they were going to be a successful pairing. Instantly hitting it off, getting on really well, and forging the bond that we see so often at the Epic Series races, the two-person team format. One of the most unique aspects of the sport and of sport in general, where riders get to share in the highs and lows, and mainly in the highs, especially in this case with the KTM Spada Brent Breaks, where they have taken 4 out of 4 stages and look very promising with a 3-minute and 40-second advantage over Sosna Pinelli and Marquette to be making a clean sweep of the affairs the entire week. Starting on Wednesday in Le Punt, they took a resounding victory, over 10 minutes into their rival, Sportograph.com. Each day chipping away and putting more time on them. And it looks like to be over a half-hour advantage by the time they reach the finish in Davos, where we are right now. We're broadcasting live from Davos, watching the world's best mountain bike stage racers head over these beautiful trails, the varied trails that we've seen some of the top pro racers. Also racing, of course, let's remember that this is a Pro-Am race, testing their skills and their physiology over exactly the same trails the amateurs 516 riders started, the youngest of whom were 19 years old and the oldest 80, so a wide range of names, of ages, competing in this year's race. We're with Sosna Penele and Georgia Marquette, well and truly established as second place on the day and also on overall general classification, and putting the final touches to a podium place, a much coveted podium place. They've earned every meter of this Lithuanian champion, just one of the championship jerseys we've seen in the field. Multicolored lineup on the start, not just with the Chivita leader jerseys, and also with the national championship jerseys. Great to see so many of them out at the Swiss Epic. Both Swiss champions are represented at the race. Casey South in the men and Anna Weinbier in the women. Anna Weinbier's jersey that she's wearing currently, of course, is the European champion. That supersedes the Swiss champions jersey. And Switzerland are the most represented country, no surprise. 26% of the entrants at the Swiss Epic are from Switzerland. Second most represented country, the USA. We haven't seen the USA much in the pro categories, but among the amateurs, 10% of the field hail from the United States of America. South Africans make up for 9% of the field. No surprises, since the pinnacle of the Epic Series, the global portfolio of mountain bike races, the pinnacle of the Epic Series is, of course, the Alps Cape Epic. Many South Africans getting a taste for mountain bike stage racing and looking to expand their horizons for another unique and iconic mountain bike destination, and where better to do it in the Swiss Alps, in the Graubünden region. The track Georgia Marquette as she leads Katarzyna Sosna Penele onto the trails into Davos, with only a few kilometers to go before they can put their feet up and relax, but not before the podium celebrations. Tapada Kinder FSA women are having another great day out. If we were to stop the clock right now, they are ahead of Tessa Kortekas and Amanda Bolin, Marcy ISB Sport, lying at 48 minutes and 50 seconds down on the virtual GC. Of course, that will adjust when the riders cross the line, because that will be the official result, just to give you an idea of where we are in the state of affairs. And that battle we predicted between Tessa Kortekas and Amanda Bolin and Bettina Janis and Kim Amas of Sportograph.com, it seems that the Marcy ISB Sport pairing have been able to withstand the challenge, to resist the challenge from Bettina Janis and Kim Amas. Now we're at 5 kilometers to go, and that is just before the sting in the tail. We look at the profile. There was one last little rise around about the 4 kilometer mark, and they're about to get to that section of the trail now. Weinbier and Peretti are currently in the lead with 5 kilometers to go. In a short moment, we'll be crossing down to the line with Dario Linde, who is with another category winner, the Open Men.
Here we go, put your hands together. They're on the way to the finish line.
And here we have it. Jesus Martin and Juanma Clement. This is the winner of the Open Men category. This is the amateur category, where riders are able to get their name in lights riding in the amateur category. Invar MTB team, another great day out. Emotions running high at the finish, and we hope to have a chat to them to see how their week went. We see riders pour in, soaking up the final moments of glory, and they get a hero's welcome here in Davos at the Swiss Epic, the 13th edition of the race. The Invar team, the Spaniards, enjoy the moment and enjoy the spoils of victory wearing their white leader jerseys. Marcy ISP Sport are third on the stage and third on overall GC, trailing the team of Topata Kenda FSA. Marcy ISP Sport have had a good week out. They struggled a little bit on the first day. What turned out to be the Queen stage, the 83-kilometer stage, as we climbed some of the much vaunted alpine passes. And now we cross to the elite women leaders out on the stage. 6 kilometers to go. Anna Weinbier, Claudia Peretti, Sosna Pinelli Marquette are a good distance back at 4:45. We're right now with Claudia Peretti. She rides on the green, white and red bike. And that is a specially painted bike for Claudia Peretti. And of course, it denotes the fact that she is the national champion, the champion of Italy. And we cross down to Daria Linda in just a moment to talk to more champions, the Open Men team, the winners of that category.
So, Jesus, back in Davos, second day, but you won the Swiss Epic.
It's amazing, 5 days, very hard. The condition, the rain, the altitude. We're riding a very good performance all the days, and we are very happy. We are let out, and it's amazing to be here winning the Swiss Epic with my teammate that made an amazing job. And for us, it's unreal to be here performing so well. Yeah. Our first Epic Series, our first win.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And we gave everything to stay here, and we are very, very happy.
Gracias. ¿Y para ti?
Para mí ha sido impresionante estar aquí, vivir estos Alpes suizos y me ha encantado la carrera.
Muy bien, ¿eh?
Sí, sí, la verdad que me lo pasan grande.
Sí. Gracias, muchas gracias. A la próxima.
Maybe. Cape Epic?
Swiss Epic, Cape Epic. We don't mind. We like to see you.
Cape?
La próxima es Cape Epic.
Cape Epic. Cape Epic.
We try to stay at Cape Epic.
Okay, good. Gracias.
The Invite team realizing the enormity of their achievements, riding and winning the Open Men category. This is the riders who are between the ages of 19 and 31 years. The amateur category. And quick recap of the various categories. Of course, we've seen the elite men, and currently we're watching the elite women's race unfold. Yellow jersey and orange jerseys respectively. The mixed jersey we should expect to see coming into the finish quite soon. That is where one rider is male and the other female. And then we go up the age groups as we go to the Blue Masters men and women, the Grand Masters men and women, which is the purple color jersey, and the gray color jersey, the Great Grand Masters men and women. The categories where closely fought, in fact, all of these categories. Closely fought also going into the stage are the team of Sportograph.com, who were just 2.5 minutes back off the pace on overall general classification. Bettina Yanis and Kim Amas challenging for that third spot. Tessa Kortekas and Amanda Bolin. However, Amanda Bolin and Tessa Kortekas put down the pressure and distanced their rivals, and now look good to hold on to that spot on third overall. Currently, Claudia Peretti right in front of us, being tracked by the Bulls Media e-bike on that final sting in the tail, that painful sting in the tail. After a week, 335 kilometers and over 10,000 meters of climbing. Just one last rise to go for Claudia Peretti as she rides behind her partner, Anna Weinbier, who arguably has been the stronger partner on the week, but been matched pedal stroke for pedal stroke by Claudia Peretti. No mean feat for the Italian. Carl Platt, the 5-time winner of the Alps Epic in the elite men category, now rides in the masters category. And after a difficult day that he described yesterday, second place on GC in the masters category, taking line honors today on the stage. Carl Platt with Michael Antz. Fantastic day out for the Bulls team, and an absolute legend of the sport of mountain bike stage racing. Carl Platt finishes yet another Swiss epic. Before we look at the elite women, just a quick recap on the Masters men. Team Bulls win that stage, Carl Platt and Michael Antz. And when they were going into the stage, they were lying on second overall behind the leaders of the Masters, Thomas Stoll and Simon Zahner. We wait for them to arrive, but currently we're with the elite women. 4 kilometers to go for Weinbeer and Peretti, who we see on the left of the screen, and currently in second on the stage. Sosna Pinelli and Marquette, Topado Kenda FSA women, are in pursuit, you could say, although they have lost already 4 minutes and 45 seconds to the leaders on the stage. But they know all they need to do to hold onto that second spot on overall is just keep their efforts steady, and they know that second place is theirs. Not only on the stage, but also on overall GC. Thomas Stoll and Simon Zahner finish the day and finish the week in the Masters leader jerseys, and they are able to hold on to those jerseys. Second place on the day, but winners on overall GC. They finish the day. Stoll-Zahner team have been leading all week, with the Team Bulls around about 17 minutes back before they went into today's stage, but are able to, even though they let the stage slip away from them, with Team Bulls taking line honors. Stoll and Zahner know the bigger prize was to preserve those blue jerseys. Great performance from the all-Swiss pairing. Still good spirit between the teams. The competition, no doubt, but absolute respect from these riders. Very often seen some fierce battles going on in the age group, in the amateur age group categories, and this is no exception. And Thomas Stoll and Simon Zahner riding the new wheel format, the 32-inch wheel format, and we'll hear from them in just a moment. Dario Linda is with them currently.
Very good, huh? Hey, Thomas, you have to relax a bit now, huh?
Yeah, I'm completely done.
So I heard already from Carl Platt, an epic legend, that you pushed really hard during the day.
Yeah, when you have the legs, you have to do something, kind of.
Yeah, but you already made it for the last 5 days.
No, we were a good group, and when you're taking care of the speed, there's no attacking, so I thought played a bit like steady pace, and yeah, there was sure there were gonna be some attacks on the last climb, so as long as the pace was steady, there was no attacking. It was good for us.
Good for us, good for you is as well. You won the Swiss Epic in this edition. Woohoo! So you're really happy with that, with your own bike. That's actually a good story.
Yeah, it's a super good story. Yeah, it was a super good week. We are here with 40 bikes, with 40 riders, 20 32-inch bikes, and a big success for us and for the company and for the riders as well.
Yeah, you had a lot of riders, a lot of teammates, but in your age group you've been quite alone.
Yeah.
You team up with other teams.
Yeah, no, I mean, there was no big expectations for us. And we rode together, I think, 20 years ago, the last time in races. So we were just hooking up a year ago to do that. And then, yeah, found out that we had quite a good time the last 5 days.
Yeah, pretty good. But the 20 years ago, that was not on a mountain bike.
It wasn't a mountain bike, it was category junior or hard, yeah. I think it's more than 20 years ago.
I think so,
yeah.
Okay, so you've been fighting against each other and not working together. Nice story after, let's say, 30 years. No, more or less 25, okay.
Then we found out this week that we're quite good friends. So.
Wow, great story. Danke vielmals. Danke dir vielmals. Viel Spaß noch. Gute Erholung, Jungs. Danke.
Support team, the best cheerleaders this week, Team Holly.
And what a way to forge a friendship and to compete at an Epic Series race. Two-person team. We've seen countless friendships being forged at the Epic Series races, the pinnacle of which, of course, the Alps Epic. That's what two-person team stage racing is all about. Earlier we saw Orbea factory team cross the line. Iban Zugasti and Ernesto Mendoza will be crossing to Daria in a moment.
First, is it the first Swiss Epic?
Yeah, first Swiss Epic. It was a really hard race because the other teams are stronger, and we had to push until the end to get the win. Yeah.
But you have to win now. Here in Davos, winner of the Swiss Epic. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see, a smile.
No, I'm very happy, eh?
Yeah?
Yes. No good race for us. I am climber, he descender, and no good mix for Switzerland.
Why?
Because I'm a spider in downhill,
yeah, okay.
And in the uphill he is a flat man, a sprinter man.
Okay.
But we have a very good team. We have head, and the rivals are very strong. But we are very happy because we win in Grandmaster for Epic Series.
Yeah.
It's important for us.
Muy importante para ti.
Muy importante, very big importante.
Yes, thank you very much. Felicitaciones para ti. A la próxima.
Sobre todo, Suiza, muy recomendable, un país precioso. Aquí abajo. Switzerland, very, very nice, very good people. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, muchas gracias.
This is your team, 7th car, they're finishing second here on the stage. Look at that height there.
Great to hear from well-known campaigner Iban Zugasti. And as we track the heroes of the week and of the day, the elite women are about to finish the race and already really a long way out. They can afford the absolute luxury of celebrating before they cross the line. Finishing solo, the magnificent performance of the team of the week. KTM Spada, Brenta Brakes, Olympia, Anna Weinbier and Claudia Peretti take 5 stages out of 5. And that means that they are well and truly the winners on overall general classification. They have won the 2026 Swiss Epic. What a moment for the Swiss and the Italian. Tremendous bond that's been formed between these two over the week. They were a unique pairing going into the race. Unique being that they're not part of the same team outfit, forming this partnership, especially for the Swiss Epic. The Swiss champion and the Italian champion, Weinbier, also the European champion, as they get ready for that special photograph that they'll remember forever for the rest of their lives. This will be a special moment to think back on as they achieved glory in one of the biggest victories of their careers. Anna Weinbier on the right, Claudia Peretti on the left, celebrating, wearing their leaders' orange jerseys and the classic picture with their bikes in the air. And indeed celebrating a well-earned victory. Next up, the champagne shower as they get ready to enjoy the spoils of victory, just one of the spoils. And that sweet taste of the dry champagne. And we take a look back at the highlights of the day in the elite women's category. Watching the world's best mountain bike stage races just by default, having raced at the Spa Swiss Epic. And of course the Swiss Epic is like it's really the true test of any mountain biker, because navigating those iconic trails, and not only iconic trails, but mounting the challenge on those high Alps, high altitude, finishing in Davos, the highest city in Europe. Magnificent performance from all of the elite women, and in fact all of the riders, the 516 riders that competed in the race. But at the top of the pile in the women, for sure, the team of KTM Spada Brenta Brakes Olympia. Back down the roads as they head into Davos. About to go under the culvert is Katarzyna Sosna-Penelli and Georgia Marquette. Team bib number 53 as the Lithuanian champion and the Italian head down the stairs and then quick hiker bike up the next point under the culvert, under the railway. And they know, they've done this race before, they know that it's just a short way to go before they enter the stadium in Davos, the special stadium formed especially for the race, as we are currently enjoying blue skies in contrast to the last few days out in the Engadin. What a magnificent day out. Tracking Sosna-Penelli and Georgia Marquette. Just a quick push just to keep the pace high. And fatigue has definitely set in over the last few days. Saw a great performance from this pairing. They were third on the first stage and then just steadily measured their efforts and moved up the leaderboard into second place. Unfortunately not able to move higher than second with the dominant pairing of KTM Spada Brenta Brakes Olympia, Anna Weinbeer and Claudia Peretti leaving it all out there and gaining time hand over fist each and every day, winning each and every stage, in fact. But still nothing to take away from Topata Kinda FSA women. They've managed their campaign extremely well. The Lithuanian and the Italian just putting the final touches to the week, and they'll be standing on the second spot on the podium here in Davos after an event-filled week out. They had an issue with their pedal yesterday, and it's always a heart-stopping moment when a major mechanical afflicts a team like that, where we've seen in the past an issue like that could cost them several minutes and maybe even end their campaign. But they're able to keep a cool head and make the necessary repairs, still hang on to their second on the day and their second spot on overall. That's what it's all about. It's about managing not only your efforts, but managing any incident that comes along. Heading through the most remote regions and remote trails don't always have access to outside mechanical support, which is of course provided at the service stations. 3 service stations today, but out there on the trails, The riders need to be fully aware of fully aware of their bikes and also how to make the repairs. And we track the team of Topada Kende FSA women, Katarzyna Sosna-Pinelli from Lithuania, Georgia Marquette, hailing from Italy, take second place on the stage. This is their third second place of the week. I beg your pardon, the fourth second place on the stage as they celebrate together. A great bond and a well-established team dynamic between them as they receive the spoils from the 2025 winners, the Topada Kende FSA team. Casey South, Fabian Ravensteiner, both national champions, are there to hand over the medals to Katarzyna Sosna-Pinelli and Georgia Marquette. Casey South in the Swiss champions jersey. Great moment between two top professionals in the sport of mountain bike stage racing. And the ever-present dog, Katarzyna Sosna-Pinelli's companion, is there, as always, to greet the Lithuanian rider. Tremendous excitement at the finish and a hero's welcome for all riders who finish today's stage and in fact finish the week. And we're down on the line with Dario Linda, who is with the winners of the day and the winners of the week. Over to you, Dario.
Ah, sí, claro. No problem. Niente problemi. Ah, okay. So we had a deal, huh? In the morning.
Yes, but you are speaking English.
Ah, sorry, scusa. Io sei con io vince, io faccia l'interview in italiano.
Bravissimo, allora adesso parlo, guarda, molto fluente, hai visto come sono brava a parlare italiano.
Io vince la tappa e vince il Swiss Epic.
There is nothing better, no?
Yeah.
You win the last stage and also the all the stage, because we won all the stage and also the general classification, so nothing to add.
Nothing to add. Real nice week, real nice racing. Could you enjoy some, not 2 days, but the rest of it like today? So the up and down stages, the single trails.
Yes, I enjoy a lot. We enjoyed a lot. Yes, it was hard work, of course, but also today nice weather and a lot of nice trails, and I think, yes, we enjoyed it between.
Okay, so for the next few stage races, you're racing together now, or?
No, no more. Come on. Anna is too strong, no.
Yeah, come on.
I'm joking.
Okay, good.
She's a very good teammate. She has a lot of passion.
Yeah.
Because she had to with me a lot, but I think we did a very good job, because sometimes it's not so easy race together, above all when you don't know each other so well. But now we are ready for our other race together.
Your other race together, which one is it?
We don't know.
Not yet?
Not yet, yes. But yes, I'm also looking forward to race again with Claudia. We had 5 incredible days. We didn't knew each other before, so I think, no, we raced against each other, but never together. Wednesday, it was our first ride together, and now we have our 5 days of racing, 5 wins, so what? It couldn't be better. I think that says all that we can go to work together.
Yeah, so working together, a friendship comes out of it now.
What?
A friendship, like you're coming closer and closer.
For sure, because you have to share not only the race, but also a lot of moments after the race, a lot of talking, so yeah.
Okay. It was so good to have you here. Danke vielmals. Merci vielmals. Grazie mille.
Impara l'italiano per l'anno prossimo.
Ok, I try to.
Io non parlo.
Ok, deal. Ancora una volta un deal. Grazie mille.
And indeed, high spirits as we see Team Masi ISB Sport out in the enclosure. Another great day out for Tessa Kortekas, riding with her Swedish partner. Amanda Bolin able to hold on to that third spot on the overall podium with a great result today in third spot on the stage. Weinbeer and Peretti certainly owned the day after 3.5 hours of racing. Second place, Topada Kent FSA Women, and Tessa Kortekas and Amanda Bolin holding the challenge from the German pairing of Sportograph.com. Hopefully in a moment we'll be able to cross down and once again meet the second place team of Sosno Penele and Giorgia Marquette, and hopefully Penele's dog.
Questa Swiss Epic.
Sì, magari no, però dai, siamo contenti che oggi abbiamo fatto seconde, per noi vale come una vittoria perché veramente abbiamo combattuto dall'inizio alla fine. Prima tappa non è stata proprio dei migliori, io sono stata poco bene, però poi giorno dopo giorno la prestazione è sempre migliorato. Oggi ero bella stanca, però Giorgia mi ha incoraggiato tantissimo, la ringrazio, è veramente una bella coppia correre con lei tutte le tappe.
Grazie, but you told me there's another stage. That's the after.
Vi aspettiamo tutti after party, se anche noi facciamo lontano per la via sulla strada, perché il prossimo weekend abbiamo campionato europeo gravel e dobbiamo spostarci a Belgio.
So you're doing the gravel championships next week? So, but you're partying tonight.
No, also. I back home this night.
Okay, you can't dance with me or with all the others, but tomorrow you take it really easy because it was a hard week for both of you.
Yes, now I will do some day of rest, and after full focus on the European Championship in gravel.
So that means a full day off is no bicycle, no bike, nothing at all.
Nothing, no bike.
Bike in garage and closet and not looked bike.
Walk in the city, supermarket, easy coffee, and nothing to bike, racing, and okay.
Only good experience from here, from Swiss Epic. It's a very amazing race. Also, thank you so much, organization, for this inconvenience for weather. It's very amazing work, all staff from Swiss Epic and Epic Series.
Grazie mille. Grazie mille. Grazie. Thank you very much. Grazie.
Reliving the moment that solidified Sosno Penele and Marquette's second place on the stage and also on general classification. And we catch a view of just how dominant Weinbeer and Peretti were on the day and on the week. Tessa Kortekas and Bolin finishing in third, the final general classification. In just a moment, we'll be hearing from Tessa Kortekas and Amanda Bolin. Down to Dario.
3, 2, 1, go.
Let's go. Yeah. Tessas, Swiss Epic is over one more time. One more time you're on the podium in the general classification.
I'm very happy with this third place. For me, it feels like a victory. As less than 2 weeks ago, I called Amanda if she was sure she wanted to race with me, as I didn't feel like I was in good shape.
Okay.
So, as I know she's preparing well the World Championships and I don't want to interrupt her preparation, I called her and I said, listen, this and that, and it's your choice. And, well, tell me your answer.
Yeah, I didn't really want to miss this. I always want to do Swiss Epic. I heard a lot about this race. And yeah, she called me, but I know Tessa is strong. She has a good endurance and she has a lot of experience of this type of race. So I just like, yeah, we try. We help each other. I don't feel any pressure. I know the terms. And we are here, and she's super strong and is a real fighter, I will say. And we had 5 really good days. The first day was a bit hard, but the other days we get
good days.
Yeah, yeah.
4.5.
4.5.
Full.
No, 4.5. The half of the first day was not so good.
but you came in shape during this week, so you started a little, but now you're on place 3.
Yeah, I think, when you come to a tough race with doubts, maybe the first day you're nervous, and then you start to get into it, and the doubts disappear, you get more confidence, and I've been really surprised. And I think, if it's all good mentally, then even if you're physically not 100%, you're ready to push. So, yeah, you're capable of anything.
Yeah, as Amanda said, it's a mind game. So so probably I've always started with lower expectations, and then there's the best outcome.
Maybe it's a good plan.
Yeah.
But I don't think I will try again.
You have to pay for me.
Well,
because before the idea.
We can talk about it
later on.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you coming to the party actually?
No, sorry.
No.
No.
Okay, cool.
Back home.
Back home?
No.
Well, I go for it.
I will take my beer tomorrow.
Great. Ready? So as a tonic drink?
Nah.
You're going back to Sweden now, or what?
No, I'm going actually to Italy, to the course, to the Worlds, and do the course there, because we had a Swedish championship just 5 days before the Worlds. So I will not be able to do it before after the Swedish Championship. So I will go directly there now to Italy and be there for a week, and then I go back home and Swedish Championship, and then I go back to the Worlds.
So another race in 5 days, 2 big races.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much for this week.
Next year.
See you next year again. Yeah. Every year once. Danke vielmals. Thank you very much. See you. Ciao. Danke.
Gavin Ryan. And then we have Peter Samek and Daniel Tatzer for the Ruby team. Finish there.
The general classification in the elite women, Weinbier and Peretti take the win. Sosna Penili and Marquette, second place. Kortekas and Bolin are in third. We saw Bettini Yanis and Kim Amas finish a moment earlier from the aerial photography of the aerial shot. Sportograph.com are in fourth. And quick recap of the general classification in the elite men. Team Engadin Le Punt led from the start, from the very first climb. They already started to show their dominance and riding in one of the most mature and measured and calculated ways throughout the week. Arendon and Bieli certainly deserve that victory. In the open men, we saw the Invar MTB team finish and win on overall general classification. That is the amateur open men. And Ruby 2, NV Fanboys, rounding out the podium. in the Masters. Very often one of the most closely fought categories. It's Stoll and Zahner winning the general classification over Karl Platt and his partner, Mr. Antz, and Team Bulls are yet again on the leaderboard. Team Evok Finland rounding out the podium in the Masters category. Grandmasters, it belongs to Zugasti and Mendoza from the Orbia factory team, and Jaikl and Debertilis, Massimo Debertilis, former world champion from 7-card. Schneider and Imfeld from Danny Schneider Radsport Stoll bikes complete the podium. Next year, 2027, and if you want to really experience the most iconic mountain biking you can imagine in the Swiss Alps, we are going to be welcomed by Zurich next year, and entries are opening next month. Make sure to sign up for the newsletter to get forewarning as to when entries open. And big news is that we will be in Zurich for the start. That's the big and we're going to take a look at some of the highlights of the day from stage 5 of the Swiss Epic, 13th edition of the race, and just a look back at just how the riders have fared over this beautiful stage and this beautiful week here in the Graubünden region. Watching these beautiful images, we close the chapter on this edition of the Swiss Epic on the final day, and it was the thrilling finale that we all imagined here in Graubünden. The riders have officially conquered the Alps. They've tackled the demanding climbs, enjoyed the thrilling tales from La Pointe to Davos, 335 kilometers, 10,750 meters of climbing through spectacular alpine terrain. This week has been an absolute testament to human endurance, determination, and the indomitable spirit of mountain biking. Congratulations to the winners and to all, in fact, who completed this epic journey. And thank you for joining us in this magical celebration of cycling and of nature. Until next year, it's goodbye from us, and thanks for joining.
He's waving out. Oh,
20 seconds ago, stand by for the gun. You are now in the hands of the star.
Reminder, we did the award ceremony for all our categories. Top 3 on the stage, top 3 of GC, 3 p.m. today. Unsere Siegerehrung heute Mittag ab 15 Uhr für all unsere Kategorien.